I know there's going to be nobody admitting it in this live stream, but there were people asking me, do we start Jamar Chase or Puka Nacua going into this game? And yes, a lot has changed. A lot has happened. I want to dive into every game that we had tonight. I want to talk about some overall takeaways, some impacts that we have going into week 4, and then, of course, answer your fantasy football questions. And as we get into this, you better be hitting that like button. You better be subscribing to the channel if you play fantasy football. We've streamed for 150 days in a row, not stopping until 2024. And we are going to be going through and updating our rest of season fantasy football rankings tonight and tomorrow morning over there on flockfantasy.com. So, of course, if you want to see my updated rest of season fantasy football rankings, if you want to check out all my premium articles, live streams, Discord chat, bonus content, and all the premium content of your favorite fantasy football creators. Or if you want me to break your team down in a podcast, you can find all of that on flockfantasy.com. Promo code FLOCK, 30% off any subscription. Like we said, you will get your team broken down by yours truly in an in-depth podcast, way better than what I can do on these live streams with promo code FLOCK on flockfantasy.com and that mother flocker package. But let's go ahead and let's dive into, we'll keep Cincinnati for the end. Let's go into a boring team first. Let's go ahead and let's look at what we have with Tampa Bay, where, yes, this was a team that was maybe exciting coming into the night. Yes, I understand everybody was sitting here going, oh my gosh, Baker Mayfield is great. I mean, maybe it was just his previous coaching staffs. No, I mean, the Eagles defense is great, of course, but overall, Tampa still not going to be super good. I mean, you did have Mike Evans getting there. Mike Evans, 6 receiving yards and the receiving touchdown. Rachaad White still was really the only running back used in this backfield. I mean, I actually just went through and looked at my rankings and what we are going to be doing for week 4, and Rachaad White is still somewhat a winner, right? I mean, Rachaad White still has the workload. It just comes with the nature. That's why we were saying to sell guys like Cam Akers, sell Rachaad White. I mean, those running backs that were going to be in very bad offenses coming into this season, just because every once in a while you have games like this. Now, I want to be on record. I don't think you should sell Rachaad White anymore. I was probably wrong on that call. But nonetheless, this was the reasoning behind it. Because if you have an offense that's unable to move the ball down the field, regardless of the volume, regardless of the talent, the running back will struggle. I think White will have better games going forward when the overall offensive environment's a little bit better for him. Now, going over to the Eagles side of things, I mean, this team looked great. They dominated from start to finish. I understand you look at what you have at the end of the day with the Kenneth Gainwell usage, where you have 14 carries, where Kenneth Gainwell did draw a couple targets out of the backfield as well. Don't think too much into that. Don't read too much into it. I mean, you had DeAndre Swift with everything in this offense. DeAndre Swift was the primary back whenever the game was still a football game. Assuming full health, DeAndre Swift is going to be the starting running back for the Philadelphia Eagles for the foreseeable future. A.J. Brown is still A.J. Brown. Really hope you sold Puka Nacua for him last week. You're not going to be able to do that anymore. And with Devonta Smith, he does have his week down. And are we going to be panicking with Devonta Smith? No, of course. This is what we naturally see. This is what we were talking about, why A.J. Brown was a buy low guy for us last week. Naturally, whenever you are in an offense that just has as much talent as this, you are going to get some weeks where, yes, I mean, one wide receiver goes out there and dominates over the other, where others, you're just going to get that natural volatility and it will bounce back the other way, right? So this was an A.J. Brown week. There will still be plenty of Devonta Smith weeks going into the future. You don't need to be too concerned, ladies and gentlemen. Now, going over to what we have with the second game of the day, the Rams, very interesting spot. Tutu Atwell is a better receiver than I ever would have imagined in a million years. Tutu Atwell was actually a wide receiver that had an intriguing prospect profile coming out of Louisville in last year's NFL draft, but we were able to pretty much scratch him off our draft boards because you looked at the man. And can everybody go to the live chat real quick? I don't know if they talked about this in the game. I watched the game with the volume off, but can you take a guess on how much Tutu Atwell weighed coming out of college? I want to hear what y'all have to say, because obviously we all know that this is a smaller wide receiver. We all know that this is someone that maybe doesn't have the traditional frame, but how much do you think Tutu Atwell weighed at the NFL Combine? And of course, he maybe put on weight, but all these players put on weight after the Combine. That argument really isn't valid. We got 165. That would be tiny, my man. 165, 150, 150, 165, 165. I mean, he's pretty much right in the middle of y'all. The man weighs 155 pounds. I almost weigh as much as Tutu Atwell. Okay, so, I mean, I wasn't really expecting Tutu Atwell to have this kind of ceiling. He goes out there, he draws 9 targets. Now, very similar to what we were talking about with Puka Nacua over the past few weeks. I mean, fundamentally, the thing is you have to look at a long-term perspective of what's the role really going to be here. When you get Cooper Kupp back in, when we've seen Cooper Kupp, historically speaking, go out there and average 33% of his team's targets, it's very difficult to assume that, I mean, Tutu Atwell is ever going to be some long-term league-winning player. But I do want to be on record saying, like, oh my gosh, this man is the outlier of all outliers. He has crushed it in comparison to what we thought coming into the game. And then going over to the Cincinnati side of things, we are going to be looking at a team that had a lot of uncertainty coming into today. Now, obviously, Higgins banged up, blah, blah, blah. Higgins, a couple drop passes. Higgins did not look good in this game. But the fundamental story that we have, Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase, 12 receptions off of 15 targets for 141 receiving yards. Chase dropping 26 fantasy points without a touchdown. So, yes, I mean, Ja'Marr Chase, please, still view him as an elite level wide receiver. It was crazy that 2 weeks into the season, people would take that large sample that we have of Ja'Marr Chase dominating for years, going back to his time at LSU. Real quick side story, I actually got to see Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, Justin Jefferson play my Texas Longhorns in person that magical season before we knew how good they were exactly. I think it was like week 2. But quick side note, nonetheless, Chase, elite prospect, elite rookie, elite second-year player. What were you expecting? You thought in the first 2 weeks, because the Burrow injury, this guy was not going to be getting, of course, Ja'Marr Chase is Ja'Marr Chase. Other interesting note is Joe Mixon goes out there and has every single touch in this backfield. Now, not a super involved wide receiver. I'm sorry, not a super involved running back as a receiver, but still nonetheless a running back that did get every single carry, had the red zone look. He scored from, I believe it was about like 10-ish yards out. And yeah, be excited about him going forward. Now, I will say it is a little frustrating to say the least. I mean, he still got there from a fantasy football perspective. But if we're looking at PPR leagues, that Joe Mixon had 2 targets in a game where Joe Burrow threw the ball 50 times. Little frustrating that he had like a 4% team target share. Hopefully this gets a bump up going forward. I mean, Joe Mixon is a capable pass catching running back. But yeah, start Mixon every single week. Joe Burrow didn't look good in this game. I mean, Burrow did not have a passing touchdown. You had 1 INT. You had the Cincinnati Bengals defense looking phenomenal. But nonetheless, start your studs. Doesn't really matter what's going on. And really, really hope that we will be in a spot where Joe Burrow is fully healthy going forward. But I think that should be it for the overall recap. Please let me know a couple things. 1, in the chat, if you have any questions like this one, which we'll get to in 1 second, ask them, fire them away if they're about these games. And 2, spam the chat. What is your fantasy football record going into week 4? Very interested to see where we stand as a collective right now. But between Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua, y'all know we've been saying to sell high on Puka, even though it's made me look like an idiot. And I know he's the most exciting player in fantasy, blah, blah, blah. But we have been going through and just putting out the warnings, more so long-term when Kupp comes back. This is not some elite-level wide receiver talent that's going to be, I mean, a top 10 wide receiver rest of season. With that being said, I would still easily rather have Puka Nacua over Tutu Atwell. Puka's the guy that we have seen a considerable amount of volume from through the first 3 weeks now. I believe there's a chance that he is still leading the NFL in targets 3 weeks in. So you still want Puka. Don't mix it up. And this is coming from someone who's not necessarily the biggest Puka guy in the world. Well, we got 2-1 and 3-0, 2-1, 2-1, 0-3, 1-2, 1-2, 0-3, 1-2, 2-1. 2-1, 2-1, 1-2, 3-0, 1-2, 2-1, 1-2, 2-1. So it does look like we are a little bit mixed here. We got a couple more 3-0s, got some more 2-1s, but nonetheless, let me pull up that other page and we'll start diving into some general fantasy football questions. And as I do this, please, if you have not done so already, Go down there, drop a like on this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. We are 3 likes away from hitting 400 likes on the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. We are doing everything we can to hit 200,000 subscribers before the season ends. I mean, hell, we have live streamed for 150 days in a row, and we are not going to stop live streaming until 2024. But let's go ahead and let's pull up that separate page that we have. And I believe our first question coming out from JJ. Let's pull this up. And JJ says, taking your advice and trading Zay Flowers and Zach Moss for a running back, who or what price range should we attempt to go after? Kenneth Walker, question mark. I think that this would be a great range of what we are doing. I'm going to throw a couple running backs kind of in a similar bucket. I think Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, I mean, y'all know we've been looking at like Joe Mixon, Jahmyr Gibbs. I still view all those running backs kind of in the same tier, in the same bucket. Definitely Kenneth Walker is separating himself out of that bucket. If you could go get Kenneth Walker, I definitely think we do that. With Zach Moss, he looks elite. He looks like a running back that has to be ranked as an RB1 this next week. But long term, when you do bring back in Jonathan Taylor into this offense 2 weeks from now, fundamentally, do we think that you have Zach Moss talented enough to be able to go through and overcome Jonathan Taylor in this backfield? Now, Max says, Jamar over 10 points. Hallelujah. Yes, sir. Hopefully you weren't too stressed. Sean says, was projected to lose with Raheem and Tyreek on my team, but Swift came through for the win. Hell yes, my man. Super happy for you. Yeah, DeAndre's looked great tonight. Ray Gunn says, won 600 yesterday and 400 tonight on Underdog Pick'em. Oh my gosh, my man. Congrats, GG. Cash out, run to the bank. That is awesome, my man. Super happy for you. Now we got Matt coming out and says, Patty for Brown, Swift, James Cook. Our backup is Goff. If this is AJ Brown, hell yes. I will trade Patrick Mahomes for AJ Brown, DeAndre Swift, and Jared Goff. Cody says, I was offered T. Higgins for James Cook in a 12-team PPR format where we have Pollard and Etienne. Can everybody go through and Drew said he won 2K on Underdog as well. Oh my gosh. And everybody spam the chat. W's for Drew and Ray Gunn. Taking down a considerable amount tonight. But also, spam the chat real quick for me, ladies and gentlemen. Who would you rather have? Would you rather have T. Higgins or James Cook rest of season? I understand, yes, I mean, maybe you are super excited about I don't know. Yes, T. Higgins looked bad tonight. I don't necessarily think that we are overreacting here with T. Higgins looking bad. I think fundamentally you still probably want to go James Cook, just knowing how hard it is to come by running back production currently in fantasy. But we got Higgins, Cook, Higgins, Cook, Higgins, Cook, Higgins, Cook, Higgins, Cook, Higgins. So it does look like it's split about 50-50 here. Looks like it's split about 50-50. Okay. So now our next question coming out from, I believe, the Dark Knight, who says, traded Breece Hall and Jerry Jeudy for DeAndre Swift and Christian Watson. I think that is a win. I'm super pumped about long-term Christian Watson here. Odir says 10-team PBR. We have Allen, Bijan, Gibbs, Diggs, Amari, Mike Williams, Ingram, Breece, Gus Edwards, Dylan, Deontay, Kirk, Gabe Davis, JSN. What are we doing forward? I'm 3-0, and we need to start one flex. I mean, 3-0. Congrats, my man. I am really happy for you. I know you've been a long time. Remember the vlog. And here we have the elite quarterback. We have great running backs that are only going to continue to expand their roles. We lose out on Mike Williams, and this is going to be a big catalyst on the moves that we are making going forward. It's fundamentally, if we look at this team, Deontay Johnson, no value right now, long-term play. Jackson Smith-Njigba, no value right now, long-term play. Now we lose out on Mike Williams. So 3 of these wide receivers are a little bit of dead weight on the roster. Obviously, we're cutting Mike Williams for a waiver wire guy, but still having those other 2 long-term play at wide receivers that aren't giving us anything right now and really don't have a lot of trade value. I think it's going to be hard for you to go out there and make a trade with this team currently. But what I would be looking to do, my friend, is it would be really nice if we could just start Christian Kirk for the time being, sit on our hands and wait until we get Deontay Johnson and Jackson Smith-Njigba back later this season, or performing later this season. Now, Tosh says yes on Lockett, Terry for Henry, and a Hunt for Ford. I would rather have Jerome Ford over Kareem Hunt, and I would trade Tyler Lockett and Terry McLaurin for Derrick Henry, even if I'm worried about Henry. Kevin Effects says traded Devon Achane and Daniel Jones for DeAndre Swift and Khalil Herbert. Give me Swift I'm fine with it. Definitely Herbert over Daniel Jones. Swift, A-Chain, I don't know. We're going to have to think long and hard about that for our updated rest of season rankings. But definitely no, I want Herbert there, and I think the running backs are close. Great deal. Okay. So now our next question coming out from Justin says, dude, I'm 0-3. How the hell is this possible where we have Allen, CMC, Pollard, Godwin, Lockett, and Njoku? Okay, we have just completely lost this. London, Thielen, JT on the IR. I feel like we need a wide receiver badly. What do you think we should do? If you are 0-3, what we need to go ahead and do is we need to begin treating this as if we are in the playoffs. It is win or go home. Now, I won my first fantasy football championship starting off 1-4. I don't think you're complete toast here. But honestly, I think on an 0-3 roster, we are ready to go through and we are ready to sell Jonathan Taylor for an elite running back, if we can. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, wide receiver. Now, R. Gravy says, rank the Fields replacement, CJ, Russ, Brock Purdy. I think we're going to go Purdy, CJ, then Russ. Mike says, yo, Mason, Diggs for Chase. Right now, it looks like you probably got to go Chase. Tanner says, flex target for Mostert and DJ Moore package. Also have Rachaad White, but looking for more of a long-term solution. Suggestions on who we should be going for. If you can go Mostert and DJ Moore and get up to the wide receiver range, such as Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle, I think that would make sense. Or if you were looking at a running back range, we'd be looking at ETN. We'd be looking at Kenneth Walker. Now, Rex says 12-team PPR, and then Gibbs, full PPR format. Rex says 12-team, full PPR. We have Hurts, CMC, Swift, Moss, Devon, Roshan, Akers, Garrett, Godwin, Terry, Dobbs, Hollywood, Hawk. Should we make a move for a wide receiver one? And who are we looking for? I mean, wide receiver one would be great. At this point, we have a ton of running back depth. It would be nice to go through and take someone like Zach Moss, who we really don't need to be starting this week. If we could sell like Zach Moss and Garrett Wilson and bring in a wide receiver in the Amon-Ra St. Brown, somehow if A.J. Brown's still possible, the Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chris Olave, A.J. Brown range, I think that'd make a lot of sense when we were just panicking about Garrett. Now, where Lahashian coming out says just traded DK for Jacobs in a full PPR format. Team is Tua, Jacobs, Gibbs, Chase, Amon-Ra. Okay, if we had Chase and Amon-Ra, good deal. Brian Robinson. And then on the bench, we have Kyron, Spears, Davis, Dell, Dotson, any moves. We also have Deontay and Jameson for the long term. I mean, I think this is a phenomenal team. Now, if you wanted to go through and see if you could sell Kyron Williams, who's on our bench, with another player like Brian Robinson and get an elite level RB for the flex, not going to fault you at all. Or you can sit on your hands. Great, great team here. Now, Nay coming out says Walker and ETN at running back. Diggs and Chase at wide receiver. Okay. Humble brag, my man. Connor, Swift, Addison, Lockett, Brees, Puka on the bench. What should we do? I mean, I stand by if Puka's on your bench fundamentally long-term when you get Cooper Kupp back in here. I don't know if Puka's going to have the same type of value, so it would be really nice to go through and see if we can package Puka and James Conner to go get that elite level wide receiver. I doubt we can still get A.J. Brown. Maybe we can go for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Go like, say, Puka and Addison, see if we can go get a player like Chris Olave, Puka, and Brees. Go get someone like Olave. Just because if he's on our bench now with no Cooper Kupp, are we really going to be excited to start him when Kupp is back? Now, Jacob says, should we trade Ford for Rachaad White? I personally would, just because I'm a little bit uncertain what the Ford role will be when Kareem Hunt is not on a snap count. Now, Justin says, happy BR trade Puka for Jordan Love where we have Fields. Hell no, my man. If you're trading Puka, you need a better quarterback than this. Now, Elias says, got offered A.J. Brown for Ford in a standard 10-team league. Fastest I have ever hit accept. Great deal, my man. My team's now Burrow, Lamb, Brown, Walker, Stevenson, and we even have enough running back depth. That is awesome. Super happy for you. Daniel says 10-team full BBR, 1 flex. We have Allen, ETN, Mostert, Diggs, AJ, Nico, Najee, Brees, and JT. Should we trade JT and Brees for Saquon and Hollywood? JT, Saquon long-term for me about the similar range. You know, I mean, the second that we had Aaron Rodgers going down, I was screaming to sell Brees Hall, screaming how bad this offense was going to be. I mean, I'm not necessarily the biggest Brees Hall fanboy. We've been screaming to sell him high. But specifically here, I think it would make sense for us to actually just keep Brees Hall for the long-term upside. Maybe they make a play for a quarterback. Now, Padawan says, Thielen, Lockett, I get Ford and Garrett Wilson. Give me Ford over Thielen, Garrett Wilson, Lockett, up to you. So I'll go Ford, Garrett Wilson. Phil says, Jamar seemed to have gotten back his old self. Is Puka someone we should be worried about with how well he was covered tonight? I hate to say it, and I want to remind everybody I was an idiot, and I could not have been more wrong about Puka going into week 1. I was so surprised that people were considering starting Puka week 1. I never thought it made sense. I was like, okay, this is a 5th round rookie wide receiver that's probably going to be in a bad offense. How the hell does this guy have the upside that you're going to start week 1? And he went out there and he freaking crushed. And I had egg all over the face. I have been getting cyberbullied ever since. So I have a little bit of a weird relationship with Puka. But the thought process that we've had and the reason why we said I don't necessarily see this guy having a ton of upside and why we need to start him week 1. Now, we did say start him week 2. But he's a 5th round rookie wide receiver that has popped off for 2 games. It is a super small sample. Now, with that being said, the most impressive 2-game sample you'll maybe ever look at for a 5th round rookie wide receiver. So I still think that he's who he was previous to this game, right? He's a wide receiver that has a lot of upside, but you can't rely on him as a stud elite level player rest of season. That's why a lot of us were trading Puka for Jalen Waddle, for A.J. Brown, for Amon-Ra St. Brown, for Chris Olave before this game. Now, Victor coming out and says, 12-team Happy BR 0-3 with Burrow, Stroud, Richardson, Chase, Olave, DK, Flowers, Gibbs, Hall, Ford, Montgomery, Javonte, Henry. Any ideas on how to save the team? We need a running back or tight end upgrade. So, I mean, here, if this is going to be a 1 quarterback format, my man, you need to go through and you need to look to sell some of these QBs. Go attack the Justin Fields team. Send them Burrow and Derrick Henry. Go get a long-term upgrade. So go send the Deshaun Watson team, CJ Stroud, and David Montgomery, at least for a running back that's playing right now. If it's a 1 QB format, let's try to extract some of that quarterback value. That way we have someone to start right now. Cleary says, Mason, you told me to ask more when I consider trading away Puka, Lamb for Chase. I ended up getting Chase and Kamara for Puka, Lamb. Perfect. This was the value that Puka had coming into this game. Were you able to sell Puka and CeeDee Lamb for Jamar Chase and Alvin Kamara? That is beautiful, my man. Super, super happy for you. Avi says, Swift looks like the real deal. He's going to keep getting better. Oh my gosh, DeAndre Swift just looks so damn good right now. Now, Yeet is our next question, but I'm going to have to actually refresh this page to keep bringing these up. So as I do this, let me remind you, please, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button. Let's get this to 1,000 likes. We got over 1,000 people watching. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We're going to be live streaming every single day until 2024. And of course, if you want to get your team broken down in a podcast by yours truly, I can do a way, way better, more in-depth job if you go sign up for flockfantasy.com. Promo code FLOCK, way better deal for you. Get 30% off any subscription, plus yours truly breaking down your fantasy football team actually in depth. And then on top of that, you're going to get my consistently updated rest of season rankings, all my premium content, and you're going to be getting all the rankings and premium content of all your favorite fantasy football creators. But let's go ahead and let's pull up our next question. This one coming out from Yeet says 0-3, 16-team non-PBR. Are we going to go Nico Collins or Tank Dell? And who should we start week 4? Can everybody please spam the chat? Are you going to go Nico Collins or Tank Dell? Really interesting spot that Collins dominated weeks 1 and 2. Dell's dominated weeks 2 and 3. Dell has been scoring touchdowns, non-PBR format. Obviously, that's what you care a little bit more about. So let's see what the chat says. The chat, Dell, Collins. Okay, so it looks like we have the majority of people going through and saying Tank Dell here, my man. Now, next question coming out from Michael says, 12-team Happy VR where we have Allen, Richardson, James Cook, Herbert, P. Ryan, and a few RB handcuffs. Waddle, Watson, Puka, Evans, Kelsey. Any trade ideas? Waiver wires are very thin. Elite quarterback, elite tight end. The only thing I'd say is running back's going to be a little bit weak. So if Anthony Richardson's back, we can go to a team that really needs a quarterback. Go to maybe the Justin Fields team and go, hey man, I got Anthony Richardson as a backup. I have Jalen Hurts as I have Josh Allen as my main guy. I will send you Anthony Richardson and Dameon Pierce. Give me a running back I'm actually excited about. I think that'd make a lot of sense, my friend. Now, Rob coming out says, hey, Mason, 14-team full BBR. I'm 1-2. We have Tua, Baker, Pacheco, Breida, Pierce, Amon-Ra, Waddle, Puka, DJ Moore, Burks, Downs, Wandale, K-Dot, and Gesicki. Any trade suggestions? Thanks. So thank you. So wide receiver depth here, I mean, is actually going to be important because it's that 14-team format. We can roster 2 quarterbacks because it's that 14-team league. The only thing I'll say is we are taking wide receiver depth a little bit too far, where we are rostering Amon-Ra, Jalen Waddle, Puka, DJ Moore, Burks, Downs, and Wandale Robinson. Trust me, I like Wandale Robinson, my man. I drafted him in a lot of best ball teams. But on the opposite end, we're rostering Pacheco, Breida, Dameon Pierce. Rostering 7 wide receivers versus 3 running backs when our RB1 here is Dameon Pierce. We need to go through. We need to move on from some of these wide receivers at the very bottom end of this team. And we need to go through and pick up some more running backs off the waiver wire. That way, hopefully, we can be the next person to find the next Kyron Williams. Now, Tron Force says, should we start Chase after? Should I trade Chase? No, my man. Do not trade Chase. V27K says, I have Herbert, Saquon Sanders, Javonte, Brees, Adams, Pittman, Puka, Kittle, Laporta. I got an offer for Miles and Javonte for Aaron Jones. What do you think we should do and any other moves? Okay. I'll say one potential move. If we have both Kittle and Laporta, if you wanted to extract some value of these guys, if you want to go Laporta and Puka for an elite level wide receiver, Kittle and Puka, I mean, I don't think you can get to the Chase range anymore. That ship has sailed. I think we honestly probably keep the package of Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams currently. Just looking at the roster, the way this roster is constructed. If you really wanted to make a 2-for-1 deal, like if you wanted to go through and trade Miles Sanders or Javonte Williams away for another running back, you'd be packaging him with a tight end when we have a ton of viable tight end production. Owen says, won my first game of many wins this season. Let's freaking go, my man. The Patient Plum says, should I sell high on Raheem Mostert? It's a very interesting question, right? I mean, if you are looking at Raheem Mostert, this is a running back that looks great in Miami, but you all of a sudden now most likely have another running back in Devon Achane expanding his role, while at the same time, you have Jeff Wilson Jr. waiting in the wings. So I am somewhat concerned that this is going to turn into a 3-man RB by committee. If you can move Mostert in a very small piece and get over to the Travis Etienne range, I would like a sell. I don't think you sell him for anything, but if we can go sell him for a running back where we don't have to be worried long-term, I think it makes sense. Now, Sal says, the bench, Pacheco, Addison, Flowers, Pierce, Fields, Roschon. Drop who for Devon? Trade Addison, McMadison for Waddle or maybe Ford. I would love to trade Jordan Addison and Alexander Madison for Jalen Waddle. Alexander Madison will most likely be in a committee once you end up getting Cam Akers back in. Then at that point, we don't have to drop anybody. We can just go pick up Devon immediately. Now, if we aren't able to make this deal and we have to find a drop here, I think the drop most likely will be Roschon Johnson, even though it pains me so much and I don't want to drop him. Now we have Robbie says, are we panicking with Calvin Ridley? We lost Dobbins and now Mike Williams, but picked up Mostert off waivers last week and was offered Andrews for Kittle. 1, do not panic with Ridley. Still getting volume. I think the offense will be better. And then 2, I think that we would go ahead and trade Kittle away for Mark Andrews. Keep in mind, I had George Kittle as a buy low guy before his game this past week. I like George Kittle, but yeah, I'd rather have Andrews. And then, yeah, I mean, I think you should be in a fine spot. Just don't panic. The offense will be better in Jacksonville going forward. Jaron says, shout out you, the GOAT himself. Got me 2-1 in fantasy and winning good money in Underdog. Appreciate you, bro. Everyone drop a like and subscribe. Really appreciate you, my man. Super happy that we are out there winning this season. And congrats, my man. Really happy for you. Now, Pew Pew says just traded Mostert and Sutton for Tony Paul. If you can sell Raheem Mostert for this price point, we do it. You're saying you got both these guys off the waiver wire. Similar to how we were saying to go through and sell Puka for A.J. Brown last week when a lot of people in the live chat were doing that. A good rule of thumb, and it has never failed me. At least I can't remember it failing me. If you are 2 or 3 weeks into the season and you can sell a player that you just picked up off the waiver wire and you are able to go and get a first round draft pick in return that is not currently injured, 9 times out of 10, you want to be doing that. If you can take a waiver wire option, flip them in the span of 2 weeks into a first round player less than a month into the season, yes, let's go ahead and let's do that, my man. Now, Anthony says 12-team PPR where we have Fields, CMC, Moss, A.J. Brown, Ridley, Andrews, Ayuk, Flowers, Addison, Charbonnet, Roschon, Dell. 1 and 2, don't really know what to do other than hold. Okay. We have Moss for the short term. Do we have a long-term running back here? Not necessarily. We have some long-term wide receivers that are expanding their role. In a double flex format, I really do like this team. I think you're in a great spot. We'll be able to start A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Brandon Ayuk, and then one of the rookies every single week. I'll say in a 1 flex league, 2 wide receivers. Maybe then at that point, we should be looking to go through and see if we can take Tank Dell and Zach Moss and go get a long-term viable RB2 and pick up another running back off the waiver wire. It will be dependent on how many flex spots you have. Gonzalez says, I was able to flip Puka for Jamar Chases. This is what I'm saying. I know 99% of people in the chat are not going to believe us, but y'all know I live stream for probably, over 40 hours a week at this point. Not including videos, not including any of that. Just straight up live streaming, looking at your trades, answering questions. The amount of people that were able to trade Puka and a small piece for guys like Jamar Chase, or Puka straight up for A.J. Brown, Puka straight up for Chris Olave. I am so damn happy for y'all. That is awesome. That is awesome. Now we got Jackson says, Dynasty full BBR trade away Evans for Devon. Up to your roster. Really hard to answer those Dynasty questions 1 for 1. I think you probably would. Shedman says, I traded Puka and Hopkins for Waddle, then traded Waddle and Moss for Lamb. Is this a W or a loss? Really going to depend on the amount of starting lineup requirements you have. So the result of this overall deal, we sold Puka, Hopkins, and Zach Moss for CeeDee Lamb. If this is a shallow format where maybe it's a 10-team league with 1 flex, I probably like the deal. Now, Gene coming out says 12-team PPR 1 flex where we have Love, Bijan, Kyron, Ridley, Lamb, Andrews, Sanders. The bench is Richardson, Watson, Javonte, Hunt, Akers. I'm 1 and 2 and need help. Okay. 1 and 2. We need to be, we're going to be a little bit more balanced. I think we are definitely going to be starting Anthony Richardson over Jordan Love if he's good to go. We're about to be getting Christian Watson back in. That's awesome. I think this is a great team. I honestly think it's a well-constructed roster as well. I'm fine rostering 2 quarterbacks here. We have running backs with upside down to the bench. We're about to get Christian Watson back in. Great team. I honestly don't even think you have to do anything here, my man. Okay. Now, Lopez, always happy to see you, my man. Says, hey, Mason, 10-team PBR format. I'm 3-0 now, and he just way better than how we started last year, my man. Way better than how we started last year. But quarterback, we have Mahomes. Running back, we have Walker, Sanders. Receiver, we have Jefferson, Flowers. Tight end, we have Hawkinson. And the flex, we have Pacheco. Down there on the bench, we have JSN, Waddle, Dell, Hunt. No, this is a perfect team. My man, what is so good about this team is we're 3-0, so we're setting ourselves up for the long-term play here, right? We're thinking long-term upside, long-term upside, long-term upside. JT, long-term play. Jameson, long-term play. Tank Dell, long-term play. JSN, long-term play. Zay Flowers, long-term play. So we have all these guys that are going to get better as the season goes through, and we're already 3-0. I love it, my man. I love it. Now, Henry says 1 and 2. Where we have Herbert, Diggs, Garrett, Sutton, Bijan, Ramadre, Montgomery, Laporta, Warren, Algier, JSN, Roschon, Diggs, Ramadre. Actually, no, Roschon. Are we going to go Diggs, Ramadre, and David Montgomery for Tony Pollard and DK Metcalf? So would I rather have Diggs or Tony Pollard? I'd probably rather have Diggs. Would I rather have Ramadre and David Montgomery versus DK Metcalf? I'd rather have Ramadre, David Montgomery. I like the overall premise of the deal. If we could go like Diggs and David Montgomery and keep Ramondre Stevenson and go get Pollard and DK, I'd really like that. Margo says Chase is back. Yes, sir. Chase is back. Ray Gunn coming out says 10-team full BBR 1 and 2, where we have Allen, Watson, Jacobs, Moss, Pierce, Hunt, Kelly, Jefferson, Waddle, Amari, Mike Williams. We have Ayuk, Goddard, Kincaid. Any suggestions? So obviously, I mean, here wide receiver is going to be a little bit tougher with the loss of Williams. But if this is a start 2 wide receiver 1 flex league, we're still in a completely fine spot. We have running backs down there on the bench that have upside. Cut Joshua Kelly. I don't care if Austin Eckler is out for the season. Kelly, I'm done with the man. You can keep him if you want. I'm just saying. God. We have Josh Allen and Deshaun Watson. I don't love rostering 2 tight ends and 2 quarterbacks, especially if we have Josh Allen. The issue is you're not going to get any value by trading away Deshaun Watson. And at the same time, I mean, he's too good a cut. So I think, honestly, we probably keep the team as is. And it does suck to lose Mike Williams, though. And let me remind y'all, ladies and gentlemen, I go through and honestly, just for your sake, it is a much, much better deal to go through and sign up for flockfantasy.com. Use promo code FLOCK, get 30% off any subscription, and at the same time, get yours truly breaking down your fantasy football team with an entire podcast. I can spend way more time on it. I can go way more in depth. And please let me know in the live chat, if you were a member of flockfantasy.com and I broke down your team in the podcast, how you felt about it, if you liked it, if you thought it didn't live up to your expectations. But yeah, promo code FLOCK, also 30% off any subscription, our rest of season rankings, the whole 9 yards. I can just provide y'all so much more value there than I can in these live streams. Super happy to answer your questions here. I just want to let y'all know I can go through and I can just do so much more because I don't have 1,000 people waiting for questions with that. But our next question coming out from, I believe, Michael says, I have Fields to drop for Purdy, Love, Wilson, Richardson, etc. I would 100% drop Fields for Richardson. And then I currently have no room to stash quarterback unless I drop A.J. Dillon or Tyler Algier. Maybe dropping A.J. Dillon for Tyler Algier A.J. Dillon wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But at the same time, if you're looking at what you have with Justin Fields versus Anthony Richardson, I am comfortably saying at this point that we are going through and we are just taking Anthony Richardson right away. It gave me Richardson, not really thinking twice. But our next question coming out from, I believe, Phil says, sell high on Evans. Is Tank Dell a good replacement for Mike Williams? Is Dell a waiver wire pickup? Dell is 100% a waiver wire pickup. I do not think that Tank Dell will be as good as Mike Williams was. And then, no, I am not selling high on Mike Evans currently. Now, Brandon says 12-team PPR. We're 1 and 2. We have Lamar, Pollard, Kyron, AJ, Ayuk, Godwin, Andrews. And then on the bench, we have Dotson, Tutu, Charbonnet, Quentin Johnston. Thinking about trading Tony Pollard for a running back and a wide receiver. What should we do? I would say your wide receiver depth here is completely fine. You actually want to be keeping Tony Pollard. I think that'd be a very bad decision. Overall, I think it's a great team. We have the Lamar Andrews stack. We're fundamentally focusing in on running backs and wide receivers down there on the bench. I think it's a good team. I think maybe you've gotten a little unlucky to go 1 and 2 so far, and Lamar and Andrews will be better going forward. Now, the deep end coming out says traded Tua, Collins, Flowers for, oh my gosh, for Josh Allen and Calvin Ridley. I would still rather have Josh Allen over Tua in fantasy football based off rushing upside, and I would easily rather have Ridley over Collins and Flowers. Great trade. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, No Mids Golf says 12-team half BBR, where we have Wilson, McLaurin, Pollard, Devon Achane, Kittle, Thielen. And then on the bench, we have Watson, Brightwell, Ferguson, Bigsby, Richardson, $100 fab. What moves do we need to do? Okay. Cut Brightwell. Go pick up someone else. Start Richardson over Love. If that's Christian Watson, we're chilling. I don't want to be rostering Jordan Love, Christian Watson, and Anthony Richardson, though. But if it's Deshaun Watson. If it's Christian Watson, we're good. If it's Deshaun, we have too many quarterbacks. I would be fine cutting Ferguson as well and picking up another wide receiver running back off the waiver wire with upside. Really, the only thing is, let's start Anthony Richardson over Jordan Love, cut Brightwell, cut Ferguson, pick up some running backs, wide receivers with upside off the bench when we have Kittle. Unless you could trade Ferguson for something. Obviously, that's plan A. Now, Nick coming out says, I have Tua and Josh Allen. Should I trade one of these guys for running back or wide receiver depth? I feel like I'm wasting someone. Yes, if it's a 6-point passing touchdown format, I probably would look to hold on to Tua and sell Allen. If it's a 4-point passing touchdown format, I probably look to sell Tua and hold on to Josh Allen. Just given the fact 6-point passing touchdown league, rushing upside matters a little bit less. But Eminem says trade Hall for Javonte. Both running backs are in bad situations right now. Everybody let me know in the live chat, who would you rather have rest of season, Breece Hall or Javonte Williams? I definitely would prefer Javonte Williams in the short term, but long term, maybe I think it's a little bit of a tougher spot there. Can everybody spam the chat? Are you going to go Breece Hall or Javonte Williams? We got one vote for Hall, another vote for Hall. Hall, Javonte, Hall, Hall. Hall, Javonte, Hall, Hall, Javonte, Javonte. Hall, 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 Javonte, Javonte, Hall. So it does look like most people are going with Breece here. Looks like most people are going with Breece. And at the end of the day, I think that there is a possibility that this team does go out there and make a play for Cousins, make a play for Tannehill, that they do something, right? Just because it is legitimately laughably bad at this point, them rolling out Zach Wilson. But we are one subscriber away from hitting 198,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and showing support. If you have not done so already, hit that like button. Gives us a little bit of a better chance to get recommended to someone new. And then also, get one step closer to 200,000 subs. But our next question coming out from YRN Leon says, now 0-3, lost by 0.8. Oh my gosh, my man. That is brutal. I'm so damn sorry. Ego says, is it time to bench Ramondre? No, I'm still going to be playing Ramondre Stevenson. With the of course it depends on who you have, but with the landscape of running back overall, I think we got to hold on to him. Now, Coochie Man says, PBR, we have Kenneth Walker and Calvin Ridley for Tony Pollard and T. Higgins. Is this possible? Give me Pollard over Walker. Higgins, Ridley, give me Ridley, but it's not the end of the world. Full PBR format, I'd rather have the Pollard side, assuming the health of Higgins. Now, Yeet says 0-3, 16-team non-PBR. We have Ridley, Addison, Nico. I need two receivers to start. Should we start Addison or Nico, or drop Nico and start Tank Dell? I don't necessarily think that we want to be starting any Houston receiver here. We're going to be going Ridley and Addison. Addison continues to increase his overall usage in this Minnesota Vikings offense. I think you're going to be in a great spot. Yeah, if you wanted to drop Nico Collins for Tank Dell, though, not going to fault you, but you want to be starting Ridley and Addison. Now, Aiden says trade Mostert, Hollywood, and Nico for Ramondre Stevenson. No, I think you're giving up too much here. I think that if you look at how people value Mostert, you can get more for Mostert straight up. Now, Pitcher Randon says 0-3, 8-team standard, need advice, and a flex. We have Hurts, Eckler, Jacobs, Walker, Swift, Ford, Pacheco, Kelly, Algier, Amari, Mike Williams, Judy, Watson, Andrews, Flock up. Appreciate you, my man. Our running backs, assuming Eckler plays, will be Eckler, Kenneth Walker. Our wide receivers will be Amari and Jerry Judy. Our flex will be Josh Jacobs against the Chargers. The only thing I would say is if Austin Eckler is going to be missing this week and the next week, because I believe he has a week 5 bye, then at that point we would look to go ahead and we would look to swing maybe a running back like Austin Eckler just to get some production in this lineup immediately. Go get someone like Tony Pollard. Now, Isaiah says 18 PBR. Should we try to sell Derrick Henry? Yes, you should. We have Cousins, Mixon, Olave, Ridley, Waller, Walker, Tutu, Pittman, Kyron, Gibbs, Kupp, and JSN. We're 2-1. If you're 2-1 and it's an 8-team league where we're just essentially thinking long-term upside, I think this would be a good spot to go through and see if we can sell, sell Derrick Henry and get back someone like Jonathan Taylor. Now, Noah says we traded Henry for Gibbs and Gainwell. Gainwell's literally nothing. If it's a full PBR format, if you look at my rest of season rankings on flogfantasy.com, you'll see that I have Derrick Henry one running back slot ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs, but they are close. They are in a similar range. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Adri, who says, full PBR 10-team league, 0-3. We have Lamar, CMC, Hall, Adams, Waddle, Njoku, Godwin, Kamara, Collins, Christian Watson, Zach Ertz, Jerome Ford, Deshaun Watson on the bench. Any advice? We get Kamara back. Hallelujah. We needed him more than anything in the world. We get back Jalen Waddle this week as well. We probably get back Christian Watson. Overall, I don't necessarily think this is a team that needs to be making any trades. It just looks like we have been decimated with injuries at the beginning portion of the season / suspensions, and this team should be better going forward. And obviously, if we could sell Watson, we would, but we can't. Now, and that was Deshaun Watson because we had Lamar, but we can't sell Deshaun Watson. Nobody's buying. Now, Lopez, the second team, I'm 1-2, but we want to trade for a running back, anybody we can package. We have Allen, Sanders, Ford, Olave, Lockett, Kelsey, and the flex Flowers. Down there on the bench, we have Hall, Watson, Jason, Hunt, Judy, Cup, and Jonathan Taylor. I'm an 0-3 team. I'd begin panicking. We'd like to start selling some of these assets. It's very similar to what you have, say, with your 3-0 team, right? Your 3-0 team, you're loaded up on these guys like Jonathan Taylor for the long term, all those rookies for the long term as well. And with that 0-3 team, we're pumped about it. We're saying, oh, okay, yeah, this team's probably on the path to make the fantasy football playoffs. We seem to be thinking about the upside for what we have during those playoffs. Whereas here, I mean, that's not going to matter as much. Here, we more so want to be focusing on, can we actually win right now? I think that we are going to be fine. And honestly, I don't necessarily want to make a move because our starting lineup is still okay for the moment. We have Jerome Ford as our worst starter, as our RB2, and we only have one more week until we get Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor back. Darren says, is this the week to sell high on Raheem? I'm going to have to look into it significantly more. I mean, he does go up against the Bills this week. Going to be a tough matchup. And you have Devon Achane presumably expanding his role. Not only Achane expanding his role, but at the same time, I mean, hell, you have Jeff Wilson Jr. coming back in a few weeks. Okay. Now, Chris says, should we trade Kyle Pitts and Nico for Jerry Jeudy? If you have another capable tight end, I'm going to be fine doing so. Okay, now our next question coming out from, I believe, the name we can never pronounce says, can I trade Waddle and Pollard for Diggs and Cook? 1-2 on the season. Pollard versus Diggs. Give me Diggs. Waddle versus Cook. Give me Waddle. I think it's a very fair deal, and it's going to be up to you, my man. Very fair deal, and it's going to be up to you. Jacob says 12-team PPR. We have Lawrence, Bijan, Henry, Higgins, Metcalf, Pitts, Pittman, Sanders, Swift, Myers, Gabe Davis. I'm 1-2, lost by 3 points tonight. Getting worried about what we should do. Feel like we should use depth to upgrade. So, yeah, down there on the bench, I mean, we are currently sitting with Sanders, Swift, Gabe Davis. So we do have plenty of depth if you wanted to do just that. If you wanted to send, like, say, Miles Sanders and a wide receiver like DK Metcalf and get an elite level wide receiver one, then go for it. If you wanted to sell maybe DeAndre Swift and Trevor Lawrence and get back Mahomes, get back Allen, get back Hurts, then go for it. But as it stands right now, I don't know. I think it's a very fine team, but we can go to like the Nick Chubb team and try to take advantage of the running back depth that we have and the lack of running back production they're sitting with. One second, ladies and gentlemen. Have an issue with the running back rankings for tomorrow. Trying to fix it for y'all. Okay, perfect. Got that done. Now, our next one. Jacob says PBR 2-1, where we have Hurts, Bijan, Walker, AJ Ridley, Evans, Andrews, Collins, Geno, Herbert, London, Kincaid, Algier, Myers, JT. Any trades? Thinking of dropping Kincaid and Herbert to the waiver wire. Should we trade for Kenneth Walker? Going to be super hard to trade for Kenneth Walker right now, my man. I mean, if you're looking at Kincaid, you drafted him for the long term. To go through and send him to the waiver wire right now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I'd send Geno Smith to the waiver wire before I'd send, Dalton Kincaid. Hell, you have Jalen Hurts here. I think what you do is instead try to send like Geno Smith and Khalil Herbert. Go get a slight running back upgrade. You're definitely not going to get to the Kenneth Walker range. I mean, if we can go to the Justin Fields team and try to get that done, I think that'd be interesting. And then with those open roster spots, you can pick up whoever you want, and we don't have to drop Dalton Kincaid. Now, Jonathan coming out says traded Evans and Hall for A.J. Brown and Khalil Herbert. I like it. Traded Puka for Jacobs. Interesting. Lineup is Hurts, Jacobs, Stevenson, Lamb, Brown, Kelsey, Moss. Okay, so we have a super shallow starting lineup, where at the same time we have depth on the bench. So if we are looking at anything going forward, I think you will honestly kind of already made the moves we are looking at. I agree. We probably don't want to be cutting Justin Fields just yet. I mean, it would be nice, like, if he goes out there and he could have a massive spike week against the Denver Broncos, right? The Broncos defense is complete trash. And then all of a sudden, maybe we can get a little bit for him going into week 5. I mean, knowing that we have Jalen Hurts, that would be something we're looking to do, but we don't have to do it right now. Now, real quick, as we pull up this next one, we have a massive dono. Let me skip ahead and answer this from Infusion. Thank you so much, my man, saying 10-team PPR. We have Mahomes, Jacobs, Mixon, Chase, Evans, Kittle, Collins, Addison, Tua, Aaron Jones, Dylan, Gainwell, Higbee, Deontay. Fields owner has CMC, Swift, Waddle, Amari, Pitts, Davis, and Godwin. Any trade ideas? Crushing it with the streams. Really do appreciate you, my man. Okay, so we're going to go and send Tua to the Justin Fields owner. We're going to try to capitalize on some of this running back value. Some of the quarterback value that we have. Now, I'm going to go through some crazy hypotheticals. If we could somehow send, say, Tua and Josh Jacobs or Tua and Joe Mixon and get to Christian McCaffrey, it's a no-brainer. That would be my first deal just to see where his level's at. And if he says no, then go, okay, man, what if I throw in Jordan Addison? Or what if I throw in Deontay Johnson? What if I throw in A.J. Dillon? What if I throw in one of those more secondary pieces? I'd probably first offer Deontay, then offer Dillon, then lastly offer Jordan Addison. If he rejects that, hopefully he gives us a counter of something that's a little bit more reasonable. And if you wanted to go through and instead look to trade, maybe say Tua and get a wide receiver upgrade, maybe you could go ahead and send Tua in someone like Deontay Johnson and get back Jalen Waddle for our flex spot. I think that'd be very interesting as well here, my friend. But I mean, you're in a great position. Just understand when we're going into that conversation, we are the ones that are in the position of power. Like, we are the ones trying to get some of this value. They're the ones that are having to go through and full-blown panic because they have Justin Fields. Okay, so let's go back and let me see. Are we about to hit 1,000 likes on the stream? Yes, we are. We're 10 likes away from hitting 1,000 likes on this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button. Help us hit 1,000 so we are one step closer to getting recommended to a new person and hitting 200,000 subscribers. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Phil says 1 and 2, where we have Lamar, Gibbs, Walker, Chase, Henry, Puka, Devonta Smith, Aaron Jones, Waddle, Evans, Flowers, Ford. Should we trade for an elite running back? Who do we get if we're targeting? Just found the channel. Great stuff. Really appreciate you, my man. And honestly, I think you're great at running back. I don't think you need to focus in at RB. I mean, you are sitting with Gibbs, who's going to continue to expand his role behind an elite offensive line. We're 3 games into his NFL career, and he is already a full-blown starting running back. I mean, he saw 18 carries this past week, and he specializes as a receiver. Kenneth Walker is out there crushing it. Plus, we're getting Aaron Jones back in. Honestly, if I was going to make a move, I would explore a Jerome Ford and Hunter Henry for an elite tight end type trade. That's what I'd be looking at. Now, is Queerdo coming out and says a 12-team BBR, 1 quarterback double flex. We lost Mike Williams. We now have Hurts, Jacobs, Montgomery, Diggs, DK, Pat Frymuth, Kirk, Sanders, Sky, Reed, Bateman, Downs. Should we trade Jalen Hurts and Christian Kirk for Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper? So yeah, sometimes you are going to be in this very tough spot, especially a double flex league where wide receiver depth will be a little bit harder to come by, where every once in a while you have to take the luxury of having an elite level quarterback, and you will have to go through and you'll have to sell him just to get maybe some more depth in here at wide receiver, some more depth in here at running back. Now, I'm completely fine if you wanted to do this, but with that being said, my man, the points per game downgrade that you're going to get from Jalen Hurts to Deshaun Watson is way more than the points per game upgrade that you're going to be getting from Christian Kirk to Amari Cooper. And I'm saying this as someone who really liked Amari Cooper coming into the season. Hell, I was ranking him over, I don't know. I was ranking him over Calvin Ridley. I'll be the first person to admit it. Yes, it's embarrassing, but I did rank behind Amari Cooper this season. But yeah, no. I mean, if you're trading away Jalen Hurts, you need way more than that, my man. Now, AWS has got offered Rachaad White for Jahmyr Gibbs. I'd rather have Gibbs long-term, and I don't think twice. Rob coming out against us. A Mason, other team, 14-team full BBR where we're 2-1. We have Mahomes, Cousins here, 14-team league, completely fine roster and 2 QBs. Jacob, Sanders, Mostert, Hunt, Hopkins, Godwin, Thielen, Barrios, Nick Westbrook-Akeen, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz. Any suggestions? Thanks. I understand 14-team format. It's going to be significantly harder to find players that we're excited about off the waiver wire, but I would imagine there has to be someone better than Nick Westbrook-Akeen. There has to be someone better than Braxton Berrios at this point. So that'd be my first thing that we point out. Overall, great team. I mean, I will say if we have Raheem Mostert here, possibly as a running back 3, it'd be nice if we could pivot maybe to someone like James Cook, where you don't have to worry about the usage in the long term. I mean, I'm not saying it's like a no-brainer type deal, but if you just wanted to maybe deviate from the Jeff Wilson Jr. risk, from the Devon risk, that's a possibility of what I'm looking at. But great team in a 14-team format, that is. Julian says 3-0, 10-team double flex, where we have Allen, Dak, Saquon, Etienne, Jacobs, Rashad, Bigsby, Diggs, Keenan, MT, Godwin, Hollywood, Jameson, Kelsey, and Ertz. Any moves? Love you, my man. And honestly, the only thing I'm doing here, a great team, but if we have Travis Kelsey, go through and see if we can send Zach Ertz and get any running back depth piece. And honestly, I would almost go as far as saying cut Zach Ertz and pick up a running back off the waiver wire if we have Kelsey. And it's a 10-team league where we are just trying to be the next person to find the next Kyron Williams, right? Now, Dave says 8-team PBR format, Dell or Devon. We're going to go Devon here. I mean, just way more upside in the Miami offense. D-Brav says, I want to sell Madison high with Jerry Jeudy for either a quarterback or a receiver. I mean, running back. We have Fields and Richardson at quarterback. I mean, you're fine at QB. We have Kamara, Kyron, James Cook, Madison, Akers at running back. Who should we try to target? I'd rather go after a running back. If you wanted to go Jeudy and Madison, if we could get to Etienne, if we could get to Kenneth Walker, if we could get to Jahmyr Gibbs, if we could get to Joe Mixon, the usual suspects, I think that's what we'd be looking for. But yeah, Anthony Richardson's going to be great at quarterback in fantasy, my man. Now, Drew coming out saying 10-team PBR where we have Hurts, Saquon, Walker, Moss, JT, Ford, Diggs, Smith, Williams, Addison, Ayuk. We get offered Amari and Madison for Addison and JT. Do we take it? Addison to Amari, give me Amari. JT versus Madison, give me JT by a country mile. I mean, here, my man, if you are looking at Alexander Madison, I do think he probably splits his backfield with Cam Akers long term. So I would rather have the JT side. Now, T-Wag Tinger says, give Tyreek for Diggs and Pollard. 2-1, 12-team at BBR. We have Allen, Dak, Mixon, Pierce, Kamara, Gain. Okay, yeah, if this is our running back room, I'm fine with this move. 9 times out of 10, I'm saying keep the best player, keep Tyreek Hill, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, Diggs is comparable to Tyreek, even if we would rather have Tyreek. And Pollard is another round 1 talent. We'll go with the package. AD coming out says 0-3. We have Burrow, Russ, Etienne, Henry, Smith, Higgins, Pittman, Henry, Kelly. Any trades or what to do with the waiver wire 2 flex? I'm in a rough spot. We lost by 5 points. Oh, dear God, my man. We've already talked about the possibility of selling Derrick Henry. Here, you're not going to sell Derrick Henry for Jahmyr Gibbs or for Jonathan Taylor. You're thinking more so immediate term. We have Etienne, which would be my other target, so we're going to be looking to hold there. Hopefully, Higgins is fine. This has been just such a brutal start to the season where you get the Burrow injury. You get Derrick Henry in the Titans offense imploding. You get Joshua Kelly with the trap games through the first few weeks. I really don't know what we can say with this team. I don't know where the value lies where we can go through and try to get an upgrade somewhere, which is typically what we're looking to do. I would like to get that upgrade over Joe Burrow at quarterback, but the issue is nobody is trading for Burrow here. Nobody. Now, Josh says 12-team PBR where we have Dak, Eckler, Herbert, Waddle, Debo, Amari, Mark Andrews. On the bench, we have Russ, Mike Evans, Kareem Hunt, Pirine, Roshan. We're 2-1 and need a running back. I'd agree. I think we need a running back. Going to be really nice when we get Eckler back in. If you wanted to send like Debo and Herbert to go get to Etienne, Gibbs, Mixon, I think that makes sense. Or honestly, on a 2-1 roster, you can make that deal as well for Jonathan Taylor if we're just thinking long-term here. AD says, okay, yeah, we lost Chubb for the year as well. That is just brutal, my man. The Burrow and Chubb injuries on the same roster. Now, Rome says, PBR, should we trade Ford and Garrett for Calvin Ridley? We have DJ, Puka, Waddle, Dobbs, Swift, Barkley, Devon, Montgomery. I'm 0-3. If we could get Olave, hell yes. Go and send this offer for Olave. For Ridley, I don't know just yet, my friend. Now, Ty says 10-team full BBR format. We're 1-2, 2 quarterback, 2 flex. We have Tua, Lawrence, Kyler, Pollard, JT White, Roshan Ford, Chase, Olave, Waddle, Ridley, Watson, Hawkinson, Pitts. Any suggestions? 1-2. We are thinking a little more short term than long term, but still, same time. I mean, it's not like we have to panic. We can keep JT. We have Chase, JT, Olave, Waddle, Ridley for the long. This is a phenomenal team. Only thing I'd say is if you want to take one of these depth wide receivers and go get a long-term upgrade at quarterback, if we could send like Christian Watson and Tua and go get Mahomes, go get Hurts, go get Allen, I think that'd be interesting in a 10-team, 2-quarterback league. Tyler says, double flex, 12-team PBR, sold Sutton Moss for Devonta Smith. Great deal. Long-term, great deal, knowing that there's a chance that JT just comes in here and makes Zach Moss irrelevant. Now, Robert says starting 0-3 in a 14-team app PBR format where we're going with Richardson, Jones, Mixon, Robinson, Chase, Metcalf, Andrews. Just lost Mike Williams. Bench is Gus, Roshan, Dell, Sutton, Akers, DJ on the IR. Thoughts and traits. 0-3 where we just lost Mike Williams. You have to trade away Deontay Johnson for a wide receiver that's producing now. Even if you don't like that wide receiver as much as you like Deontay Johnson, it does not matter. We are now in the position where we need to go through and we need to prioritize points today. And 14-team format's going to be hard to fill in for Mike Williams off the waiver wire. Now, next switch coming out from Trey says 0-3. I don't know what to do. We have Lamar, Gibbs, Kelly, Lamb, Collins, Waller, Puka on the bench. The starters, the bench, we have Barkley, Sanders, Watson, Ayuk, Laporta, Algier. We need help. If we're sitting here with Darren Waller and Sam Laporta, it'd be really nice if we could go through and maybe send like Sam Laporta and Puka to get an elite level wide receiver in there for the flex. Will be a lot nicer though, just naturally, when we are able to put Saquon Barkley in there over Joshua Kelly. But yeah, I think with Laporta has so much damn value right now. I think Waller is still going to be someone that we're starting over him though. So if we could go Laporta and maybe Puka for an elite wide receiver for that flex spot, I think that makes sense. Connor says we had Chubb, RIP, 12-team full BBR with 1 flex. We have Burrow, Eckler, Walker, Diggs, MT, Andrews, London, Hall, JSN, Charbonnet. Did Devonta Tua for Burrow and Eckler. My wide receiver 2 flex or sus. What should we shop for? Wide receiver 2 is not going to be a big deal in this kind of format. You're going to be just fine. And honestly, I don't necessarily think we need to be making any trades at this point. I think it's more so just trying to go through and continuously churn the waiver wire. We do have the long-term upside of JSN, Breece Hall. Hopefully one of these guys hits. But yeah, let's just churn the waiver wire and set up a prayer that Eckler's back this week. Rob says trading Tua for Devontae Adams, Mostert, and Kyron. Oh, hell yeah. I'd way rather have Adams over Tua. Assuming it's just a regular shallow redraft format. Now, Chris says 2-1, but really rough week. Any advice? 12-team PPR where we have Love, Fields, Lamb, Olave, Watson, Dobbs, Waller, Barkley, Rashad, Brian Robinson, Kelly, Algier, Warren, Taylor on the IR. Okay. Honestly, great team here, my man. I do like having 2 quarterbacks here. We can play the matchups between these guys. Probably going to go Jordan Love for the foreseeable future, especially if we get Watson and Aaron Jones back this week. We have the elite level wide receivers. We have Watson stacked up with Jordan Love. We have Darren Waller, who will be better. We have Barkley coming back this week. We have Rashad White. Great team. Great team. Honestly, not looking to make any moves. I think this team's going to be strong as is, especially if we get JT back in a couple weeks. Now, Zach says, I have a couple trade options. Mostert, Kyron, Saquon, Mostert, T-Law, Allen. Which one? 10-team BBR. We have Moss and Monty on the bench as well. So Mostert and Kyron for Saquon. Give me Saquon. Mostert, T-Law for Josh Allen. I would do either one, to be honest. If it's a 10-team format where we are just chasing the highest ceiling possible, I think that both deals are good prices. Trying to think. Honestly, if it's a one flex league, I'd probably go Allen. Now, Ryan Costa coming out says trade Hawkinson in a package for Waddle. Should we secure the wide receiver too? If you have someone like Sam Laporta, then yes, let's do it, my man. I love both Waddle and Hawkinson. Now, Pedro says Puka and Swift for Jacobs and Olave. Jacobs, Swift, kind of up to you. Easily Olave over Puka. I'm going to go Olave and Jacobs. Now, Ryan says, how much 100 is decent for Palmer Quinch? So I'm assuming you mean how much fab for these wide receivers. I cannot answer a fab question unless I know the amount of teams that are in your league and the player that we are dropping, my man. Wildly different answer if it's a 10-team format versus a 14-team league. Now we have Nathaniel says 10-team Dynasty Deep League. We have Hurts, Brown stack, as well as Jefferson. We have Jacobs, Mixon, ETN, Bigsby, Kamara, Condre Miller. Any changes? I love this team. I actually don't make any changes right now. We get Kamara back in. We have the long-term upside at running back as well. I will say I think Jacobs going to be in a better spot this week going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. I think he will have a bounce back. Now, Chris says 12-team 1 and 2. We have Hurts, Etienne, Kyron, Lamb, Evans, Waller, Higgins. On the bench, we have Lockett, Tua, Henry, Hunt. What do you think and any trades or moves? I think it's a great team. Probably will be a little too late for us to trade for A.J. Brown and get that stack with Jalen Hurts at this point. I mean, I think if we have Tua down there on the bench, it is a natural spot where if we can go through and take Tua and maybe an option like Kyron Williams and get an elite level running back, or Tua and T. Higgins to go get an elite level wide receiver from like the Justin Fields team, would love that. Connor says also add Kelly, but dropping. Yes, honestly, Kelly is probably better off on someone else's roster to go through and convince them to waste a running back slot on him. But B-Train says 10-team BBR, Adams for Diggs and Watson. I have Allen and just lost Mike Williams. If you have Josh Allen, I'd probably rather have Diggs over Adams, my man. Especially if we're going to get added on value. Big Rat says trade Mostert for Metcalf. Ooh, probably need a little more value. Robert says trade Brian Robinson and Sutton for Jacobs. Sutton is a non-factor for me. So can everybody please spam the chat? Are you going to be going with Brian Robinson or Josh Jacobs, ladies and gentlemen? Can everybody spam the chat? Brian Robinson or Josh Jacobs going forward? Looks like everybody's saying Jacobs. Okay, we're allowed to go with our guy here. We're allowed to go with our guy. I mean, Brian Robinson's like a borderline top 5 RB right now at this point, but yeah, I mean, obviously, I think honestly, both these guys kind of have similar question marks where it's not necessarily the talent of them that we're questioning. It's more so the offense. Go get Jacobs. Sutton's not stopping me. David says, how do we feel about starting Swift from now on? I mean, hell, he's a must-start running back for us this week. Definitely a must-start running back going forward as well. Okay. But let's go through and let's refresh this so we can continue to bring up these questions on the stream. And as we do this, please, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We're going to be live streaming every single day until 2024. And also, if y'all want to get your team broken down in depth in a podcast by yours truly, way better than what I can do on one of these live streams, plus our updated rest of season fantasy football rankings and all my premium content, find that over on flockfantasy.com. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get 30% off any subscription, plus yours truly will break down your team with promo code FLOCK and that mother flocker tier. Quick side note, if you are signing up to flockfantasy.com, please make sure you go to the Discord and fill out the Google form so we can make sure we are getting everybody on flockfantasy.com, especially if you use code FLOCK on Underdog. That way we can get you your hat or your shirt, whatever you're wanting. And also, I don't get anything for this, so you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But if you are a member of Underdog Fantasy, go to your account page. We actually have a hookup with Underdog where if you go through and put your Underdog username on your account page on flockfantasy.com, you will immediately get a free $10 added into your Underdog account. Doesn't matter how long ago you signed up to Underdog, you can get that done. It doesn't matter what code you used on Underdog either. If you are on flockfantasy.com, get that set up. But Andrew coming out says 12-team full BBR with one flex. We have Dak, Raheem, Kyron, Diggs, Lamb, Puka, Freiermuth, Lockett, Najee, Quentin, Mims, Spears, Zeke, Kyler. I don't know what to do. Please give me some ideas. Need a trade for waiver wires. Thanks, Mason. Appreciate you, my man. Latavius, actually, maybe you're saying that's Kyler. Yeah, I think that's Kyler since you say IR. What can we do here? I don't necessarily see anybody that's a screaming sell high candidate. It's going to be a lot harder to go through and sell Puka for like Olave, sell Puka for AJ Brown like we were last week. I like the Diggs. I like the Dak Lamb stack, like having Diggs and Lamb on the same roster. We're already doing a good job turning this team for running backs. I think it's a solid team, to be honest with you. I really like the roster construction. I think there's a reason that we're 2-1, and I don't necessarily know if we're making any moves from here. I think that you're in a pretty damn good spot, my man. And I hate to give you that answer. I know it's the laziest answer. But our next question coming out from Dario says, 12-team at BBR Superflex. We have Allen, Tua, Debo, Kirk, Myers, Walker, Swift, Tutu in the flex. Kelsey at tight end. On the bench, we have Love, JT, Devon, A-Chain, Roshan, Spears, Jameson, up 3-0. Up 3-0. We have JT long-term. We have Jameson long-term. We have rookies down there on the bench. We have 3 quarterbacks we're really excited about. Phenomenal team. The only thing I would possibly say, actually, I don't even want to. If you want to trade like Devon and Christian Kirk and go get like, if we can get Chris Olave, then let's do it. Or just a wide receiver of that ilk, right? Go get a Bond State Brown. Let's do it. But you are in a position of power here. We're 3-0, and we are just loaded top to bottom. Dimes coming out says 11-team, 1 flex PPR. Allen, Moss, Etienne, Pittman, Lamb, Laporta, Najee, Godwin, Kamara, Ford, Atwell, Gainwell, Freiermuth, Mike Williams. Any suggestions? 1 and 2 right now. Okay. I'm surprised that we're 1 and 2. This team looks pretty damn strong. We're getting Kamara back. That's going to add a considerable amount of depth for us. Laporta is clearly a must-start guy every week. We lose a little bit of wide receiver depth with Mike Williams being gone. It's going to be a little harder to make that 2-for-1 deal that maybe we'd be looking at in the starting lineup. I don't think we do anything for the moment. I mean, maybe if you really wanted to see, actually, no, I don't even want to do that. Let's say maybe if you want to see if you can sell Ford and Atwell for a long-term upgrade at either wide receiver or running back for the flex. But no, I think you're in a great spot. You sit on your hands. Now, Seaburst says 0-3 now, lost by 0.3 because T. Higgins can't catch. Oh, that is brutal, my man. Yeah, Higgins had that blatant drop that just looks so damn bad. Now, Hayden says 10-team PPR, 0-3, can start 5 receivers and 0 tight ends. Should we trade Swift and Devon for Lamb? Probably not. I have Saquon, Walker, Madison, Kyron, Diggs, Olave, AJ Terry, Watson, Dell, and Hurts. How the hell is this team 0-3? Unless it's like an only flex league. If it's only flexes, then sure. But you're probably in a spot that we'd be better off to just keep the team as is. And if we were selling those running backs, I do want to be charging a massive premium just given the landscape of the position. But Phil coming out says 12-team full PPR where we have Tua, Jacobs, Pollard, St. Brown, Chase, Goddard, Puka, bench, Williams, Gibbs, Pittman, Ravens, cut a defense. Stafford, Njoku, Kamara, what do we think we need to trade? I don't think we need to trade anything. I just think that we need to change how we are going through and constructing this team. You're in a great spot. You're 2-1 for a reason. You have phenomenal players. We're loaded at the top. Just the issue is we're going to be long-term handicapping ourselves with the upside that we have at running back and wide receiver by going through and rostering 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and 2 defenses. I would go through, cut a backup defense, cut the backup quarterback. When you have Tua, you're starting him every single week regardless. Cut Matthew Stafford. I think with these 2 tight ends, though, you are fine to roster 2 tight ends. But yeah, I would just drop a backup defense, drop a backup quarterback, and go pick up 2 RBs. Great team. Nathan says, should we trade Ford and Hollywood for Andrews? I would. We have Eckler, Jacobs. Yeah, if we have these running backs, Jerome Ford is our RB5. Let's do it. Alex says, sit 1, Gibbs, Kyron, Kamara, Flowers. Probably going to be sitting Zay Flowers. I mean, even though I'm excited about him. I mean, he actually ran 100% of the routes in Baltimore this week. Now, the Real Cap says full BBR Dynasty 1 and 2. We have DJ, Stroud, Kyler, Saquon, Kamara, Pierce, Algier, Kelly, Devon, Chase, Debo, Puka, Watson, London, Deontay, Goddard. Any moves you'd recommend? My QB room is hell. This is a one quarterback format. I think that we can continue to try to contend over the next few weeks. If this is a super flex league, I would say this team's going to be better off going through, burning it down, trying to earn the 101 in 2024 to bring in Caleb Williams, to see if we can go through, to see if we can sell some of these veteran running backs, such as Saquon Barkley, such as Alvin Kamara, such as Dameon Pierce, such as really any non-rookie, even throw in Tyler Algier, and throw in Debo Samuel. These are all going to be guys that we'd look to sell to see if we can pick up 2024 first-round picks, set ourselves up to build around the core of Stroud, Kyler, Chase, Watson, London. And hopefully, if it's a one quarterback format, get the 101 and bring in a Marvin Harrison Jr. If it's a super flex league, get the 101 and be bringing in, Caleb Williams. I don't want to be doing this just yet. I do want to wait 2 more weeks, though, to see if we can swing this around and turn to 3 and 2. I don't think we have to tank right away. Nerd says, rest of season full BBR, Henry and Smith versus Sanders and Evans. I'm definitely going to go Derrick Henry and Devonta Smith here, my friend. Bryce says, 10-team BBR double flex, where we have Dak, CMC, Connor, Chase, Godwin, Laporta, Watson, Bourne, Sky, Justice Hill, Zay, Frymuth. We had Chubb and Williams. Should we trade CMC? Double flex league, I know depth's going to be a little bit harder to come by. And yeah, I would say the depth with this team in particular, not great once we lose Chubb and Christian McCaffrey. But fundamentally, in a 10-team league, you should have an easier time going through and making plays off the waiver wire to be able to backfill this depth into this roster. So I'd actually say no, this team's going to be fine if we just continue to turn the waiver wire. If it was a 14-team format where we lost Chubb and Mike Williams, then yeah, probably we wouldn't have an option but to go through and sadly sell CMC. Now, our next question coming out from Kendrick says, 10-team BBR 0-3. We have Hurts, CMC, James Cook, Kyron, AJ Brown, Pittman, Flowers, Puka, Andrews, Laporta, Watson. Any advice and who to send out for a trade? I have no idea how the hell this team's 0-3. I'd say if we're going to be sitting here with Mark Andrews, let's go and let's take Sam Laporta and Puka, and let's go get the best player that we can for the flex. I mean, a lot of people would be lucky to have Puka. Looks like a mid-tight end 1 at this point. Still, we're clearly not starting him over Mark Andrews, though. So if we can make that 2-for-1 deal for the flex, I think it makes sense. Legend says, Devonta Smith trade ideas. Do not sell Devonta Smith. We said the same thing with AJ Brown last week. If anything, this makes Smith a buy low wide receiver. I mean, we laid it all out with AJ Brown last week. We can copy and paste it to Devonta Smith here. If you are looking at what we have with these wide receivers in great offenses like this, where they have a serious amount of competition, you are going to see just natural volatility. You're going to have AJ Brown with the massive spike. Then you're going to have Devonta Smith with a massive spike. These are guys that we start every single week regardless, because it is going to even out. You're going to be excited about them in the end. And then Henry or Musgrave. I'm going to go Henry. I think Musgrave has been propped up with no Watson and no Aaron Jones. Frank says, getting Jefferson and Taylor for Allen and ETN. I'd rather have a Jefferson and Taylor, to be honest. Do I take it? We just traded Brown and Cook for Diggs and Breece Hall. Definitely nice AJ Brown deal if we're going to get Stephon Diggs there. But yeah, please keep Jefferson and Jonathan Taylor. I mean, Justin Jefferson, just a completely different class at this point. John says, sell high on Mostert. If so, who would you suggest? We've had this question a ton. Looks like a lot of people are looking to do this. I'm going to think about this a little bit more. I'll include him on our sell high sell high running back video, and try to get a sense of what we are going to be actually seeing in terms of trade values. Because one thing I think is pretty cool about me live streaming this often is just that I answer so many questions that I would, by no means am I going to come out here and try to say that I'm the best fantasy football player in the world. I don't think that's even close to being true. I think that we have 2,000 people watching this. There are probably 2,000 people watching this right now that are better at fantasy football than I am. But what I will say is, I answer more fantasy football questions than any other person on this planet. You cannot find a single person that answers more fantasy football questions than I do. So I think I am more in tune with what actually happens in leagues than anybody else. And I will have a great sense of what actual value you can get from Raheem Mostert later this week. So I will let you know when we figure that out, my friend. I will let you know. Okay. But our next question coming out from Kyle says, I have inconsistency at wide receiver to 12-team PPR format where we have Herbert, Tua, CMC, Pollard, Hunt, Warren, Hopkins, London, Sutton, Thomas, and Mike Williams now out. Any suggestions? Here, I think if you have Herbert and Tua, we go through and we sell a quarterback. You go to the Justin Fields team, you package together one of these QBs with a wide receiver like Courtland Sutton, with a wide receiver like Drake London, and you go, hey man, I need some wide receiver help. You clearly need a quarterback. I have Tua that I can start every single week. Here's Justin Herbert, and here is Courtland Sutton. Give me the best wide receiver you can. I think that's the move that you're looking to make here, my man. You're going to be able to start one of these guys either way. And I will say, honestly, Herbert would probably be the sell with the Mike Williams injury. Now, Texlan says 12-team full BBR format, 2-1 with Burrow, Love, Eckler, JT Swift. Oh, great, my man. 2-1 with the Eckler and Jonathan Taylor injuries. You're going to be awesome. Evans, Puka, Pickens, Nico, Garrett Wilson, Ingram, any moves to make. If you really wanted to go through and trade Alexander Madison and Puka and get a wide receiver upgrade, Alexander Madison and Pickens get a wide receiver upgrade, I think that'd be great. Great team. Gial says 12-team Dynasty Superflex PPR was offered Olave and 2 future first for Chase or Christian Watson and 3 future firsts for him. I have Tyreek Cup already. Okay, this is a phenomenal team. I actually would, and I hate to say this, Jamar Chase, obviously, cornerstone asset in Dynasty. But if it is a super flex Dynasty format in particular, I would go through and I would sell Jamar Chase for Chris Olave and 2 future first. That is something I'd look to do, my man. Now, Alex coming out says, 10-team BBR 3 flex spots. Quarterback, we have Herbert. Running back, we have Bijan Etienne. Wide receiver, we have AJ Garrett Wilson. Tight end, we have Kittle. A flex, Gibbs, Pickens, Flowers. On the bench, we have Thomas, Hopkins, Dell, Algier, Bigsby as handcuffs. Should we trade 2 wide receivers for 1? If it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, hell yes. With this being a triple flex format, it's a little bit less advantageous to do so. I think we can afford it here if you really wanted to go send like Tank Dell and Garrett Wilson to go get a marginal wide receiver upgrade. Now, Keith coming out says Fields, Richardson, Bijan, Aaron Jones, Roshan, Gus, Miller, Cup, Sun God, Deontay, Puka, Christian Watson, JSN, 3-0. Any trade advice? 3-0 with Fields, with Aaron Jones. Super impressive. You're my man. And with Cooper Kupp. No. And with Deontay. You've had so many. And with Christian Watson. How the hell is this team 3-0? And with JSN. This team is set up for the long term. I would have expected this team to maybe be like 0-3. The fact you're 3-0 here and we're only going to get better in the long term, I think you should be really excited. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Antonio says drop James Conner or Miles Sanders. Neither. Imani says, I am 1-2 in a 12-team half PPR format. We have Watson, Henry, Pollard, Debo, Godwin, Waller, Mostert. The bench is Pierce, London, Musgrave. Any ideas? Not necessarily. Definitely looks like Mostert's running back that we kind of need on this team. Fine if you want to roster Musgrave as a second tight end. If we could pivot off of Henry, I would be interested if we can go get someone like Travis Etienne. I don't necessarily know if Jonathan Taylor is the guy we're going for if we're sitting at 1-2, though. Yeah, really, we just need to see if Derrick Henry can turn this around. Now, Nick says trade away Tyreek for Lamb, Mostert, San Francisco, and Sean Tucker. So here, if you're going to be looking at like a deal where you're selling like Tyreek Hill and getting CeeDee Lamb back, something like Sean Tucker will literally never move the needle. Literally ignore him. He's barely worth the roster spot. I'd say the same thing with the defense, even if San Francisco obviously has one of the best defenses in the NFL and they're going up against Cardinals this week. I would rather have Tyreek Hill over Lamb and Raheem Mostert. And I don't want to have a kicker or Sean Tucker move the needle for us on that. Now, Uncle Dutt coming out says 2-1, 8-team BBR format, where we have Tua, Herbert, Diggs, Metcalf, Puka, Amari, Lockett, Thomas. Running backs are Etienne, James Cook, Akers, DeAndre Swift. What to do in the long term? I think we go to the Justin Fields team, go, hey man, here's Justin Herbert, here's James Cook, give me the best running back you can. If we have Tua, we don't need a backup quarterback. We're going to start Tua every single week regardless. Fantasy guy says, sup Mason, do we trade Bijan for Madison and Diggs? Ah, dear God. Full BBR, we have Davis wide receiver 3 and already weak at running back. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, my man. I'd say I'm keeping Bijan Robinson. I am crazy, but with the running back landscape, I'd rather have Bijan over Diggs. Keep in mind, my man, I literally went to Texas. I interviewed Bijan at the draft. He was like the first player I've ever interviewed. I ran into him at the gym in Austin. Like, it's going to be really hard for me to get off of Bijan. Elias says, standard offer, Eckler and Waddle for Justin Jefferson. Probably Eckler and Waddle if Eckler's going to go this week. I think he maybe will be. Now, Dizzy7 coming out says, Richardson, Pollard, Eckler, Etienne, Devonta Smith, Hollywood, Addison, Kittle, bench Swift, Odell, Osborne, Dobbs. What running back trade for a receiver and what wide receiver to bench? We will play Jordan Addison over Hollywood Brown, and then we will play a running back in the flex spot. And if you really wanted to go through and take DeAndre Swift and Jordan Addison and go get an elite, we would need an elite level wide receiver, you can do it. 20 says, flip Mostert. I would rather have Derrick Henry over Raheem Mostert. I would. Now, OK Red says, should I trade Moss and Debo for Gibbs and Pickens? Gibbs over Debo, Pickens, Moss. Probably Moss. Fair deal. Up to you. Charles says thoughts on Jacobs. Jacobs still getting a very high percentage of his backfield. I think he's going to be better going forward than he has been. I don't think it'll be Jacobs for last year. I mean, the Jacobs of last year. It should be a get-right game for him, though, going up against the Chargers. Now, Neil says 12-team PBR where we're 2-1. We have Mahomes, Brees, Moss, Olave, Dell, Kelsey, Kirk. And then on the bench, we have Burks, Elijah, Devontae Parker, Justice Hill. We lost Williams and Dobbins due to injury. Any trade ideas? I don't necessarily see any trade ideas. It's going to be very hard to make a 2-for-1 deal right now. I still think that we keep Mahomes and Kelsey. The only thing I'd say is let's go ahead and let's just continuously churn these bench spots. Let's make sure we're the most active guy on the waiver wire. We have that flexibility whenever we're sitting here with Mahomes and Travis Kelsey. But if right now you project up like Breece Hall in your starting lineup, my man, you got to cut someone like Devontae Parker who just doesn't have the ceiling and go pick up another running back on the bench. Okay, Red says, would you rather have Debo or Ridley long-term? I'm going to go with Ridley. I know Debo popped, but that was primarily based off no Ayuk. Now, Leonard, long-time member of the flock, always happy to see it. My man says, got offered Laporta and Damian Pierce for Kyron Williams. We have Chase, Abonra, Olave, Ayuk, James Cook, Walker, Kyron. So I don't think I'll start Kyron, and my tight end is Njoku, so we'll get an upgrade. Also, love the channel. I know. I appreciate you, my man, always being out here. And can everybody in the chat please help out Leonard here? I honestly don't know how to answer this question. Sam Laporta is undoubtedly an upgrade at this point over David Njoku. But who would you rather have here, ladies and gentlemen? Would you rather have Kyron Williams or Sam Laporta and Damian Pierce? Please spam the chat. What side are you going to be taking? And also, while you're down there, make sure you drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We're closing in on 200,000 subscribers. And of course, if you want to check out my rest of season fantasy football rankings, if you want to get your team broken down in a fantasy football podcast, if you want to go get that Flock Fantasy at, go sign up for flockfantasy.com. Promo code Flock, 30% off any subscription. And like we said, also promo code Flock, yours truly will break down your team way better than I can on a live stream in an in-depth podcast. And you'll get 30% off any subscription as well. And it looks like everybody is saying Sam Laporta for you, my man. So thank God I asked them, because honestly, I did not think it was that much of a landslide. So, I mean, now we know. Now we know. Now, going over to our next question, Michael says, 10-team PPR, we have Lamar, Pollard, Kyron, Moss, Ford, Roshan, Herbert, Diggs, Ridley, Ayuk, Flowers, DJ, Deontay, Tutu, Kincaid. Need a tight end upgrade in any other moves to make while you're at it. So if you're looking at this team, Zach Moss is a running back that we really don't need, right? There'll be a lot of other teams that need Zach Moss, like the team that maybe lost Nick Chubb, a team that lost, say, J.K. Dobbins. So if you wanted to send Zach Moss and Dalton Kincaid and go get a tight end like George Kittle, go get a tight end like Mark Andrews, go get T.J. Hawkinson, I think that'd make a lot of sense. And we have a ton of wide receivers on this team as well. So, I mean, if you wanted to go and like shoot for the moon and try to get even a better tight end, I think that Deontay Johnson, DJ Moore, these guys are expendable with this construction. But Joe says, just signed up. How do I get my team reviewed? Okay, let me go through and walk you through this real quick. So once you sign up to flockfantasy.com, go click the Discord link. That's going to take you to Discord. If you don't know what Discord is, it's a group chat it's a group chat. We have like over 20,000 people in there. I mean, you'll be able to bounce fantasy football questions off each other. But if you go through flockfantasy.com, it will link your flockfantasy.com account and your Discord account. Then you'll get all the exclusive perks from signing up to flockfantasy.com with promo code FLOCK. And if you sign up with that mother flocker tier, it'll unlock a roster reviews section under Mason's Flock of the Discord, and you send in pictures of your roster there, send in pictures of your league settings, and then I'm going to go in order, breaking those down. I mean, I've been doing this over a year, and I'll send that to you directly through a DM, my friend. But you'll see the instructions. Just join the Discord. You can find that link on your account page or on the very top of flockfantasy.com as well. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from Robert says, 14-team standard league. We have Kurt, Diggs, Cooper, Jacobs, Connor, Evans, Henry. And then on the bench, we have Boyd, Myers, Puka, Tony Jones, Love. Got trade requested Chase Madison for Diggs. Thank you. No, thank you, my friend. And I think at this point, you'd way rather have Chase and Madison over Stephon Diggs. No. I think we would rather have Chase. I mean, you can make an argument Chase over Diggs straight up, but especially if you're getting Madison in a 14-team format, we do it. Tommy says, hey, Mason, looking to sell Chark. What running back should we target? If you're looking to sell DJ Chark, you're not going to get a lot, my man. You're going to be looking at another like a waiver wire running back, right? If you want to sell DJ Chark, go get Kareem Hunt, then sure, do it, but you're not going to get a lot. More so, DJ Chark could be like a sprinkle that you throw in another deal. Also, do you recommend using our waivers to pick up Quentin Johnston or Joshua Palmer? If you need production today, I think Joshua Palmer's your guy. If you're looking at long-term upside, Quentin Johnston's your guy. I will rank Quentin Johnston ahead of Joshua Palmer in our rest of season rankings. Now, Mark says, would you do Devon Chain for Ramondre Stevenson and $20 of fab? I would rather have Ramondre. David says, start Fields or Watson at quarterback. Try upgrading. If you can upgrade, let's definitely do it. I think at this point, you probably have to go to Sean Watson over Justin Fields. But let me refresh this page so I can keep on bringing these questions up for you, ladies and gentlemen. And as I do this, let me tell you for the millionth time, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. We're trying to get to 200,000. We're trying our best. But let's move this back around. And our next question coming out from Corey, who says 10-team PPR, super flex, double flex. We have Hurts, Fields, Howell, Jacobs, Damian, Montgomery, Moss, Gus, Roshan, Tajee, Devonta, Amari, Godwin, Deontay, Rashid, Tank, and Andrews. 1 and 2, any advice? This has just been a team that has had so much bad luck at this point. I mean, call Justin Fields bad luck, call it whatever you want, but Justin Fields giving you nothing. Deontay Johnson injured. David Montgomery injured. Mark Andrews missing a week as well. Brutal spot to be in, my friend. And honestly, I wouldn't fault you if you wanted to go through and if you wanted to say, okay, well, we're 1 and 2. I need production right now. I mean, we have enough running back depth in the long term. Let me go through and let me sell David Montgomery and Justin Fields and get a long-term upgrade at quarterback. If you could, you would. In reality, probably not getting anything for Fields. So the other side of this is if you wanted to go and try to lock in some production right now, if you wanted to go like Deontay Johnson and Chris Godwin to get a slight wide receiver upgrade there, you can. It is just such a tough spot, considering the fact that nobody is trading for Justin Fields, where clearly that's the thing that would make this team better is going through and getting that QB2 upgrade. Now, Braden says 0-3. We have Love, Gibbs, Kyron, Chase, St. Brown, Pitts, Brees, Godwin. On the bench, we have Montgomery, Javonte, Tutu, JT, panic or no, and any suggestions. Yes, my man, if you're an 0-3 roster, you need to go through, you need to treat it as if we're in the playoffs. It's win or go home, my man. So let's take one of these guys that's currently injured, currently not playing. Let's take David Montgomery, send him with Jordan Love and get any quarterback upgrade. Let's take Jonathan Taylor, send him with Jordan Love and go get an elite level quarterback. Get someone that's going to score points this week. We can't be rolling out Breece Hall into our starting lineup right now. I mean, we got to do something here, my man. Now, Nate coming out and says, 10-team at BBR, 1 flex. We have Fields, Pollard, Sanders, Najee, Ford, Javonte, Algier, Goddard, T, Cup, Flowers, Pittman, DJ Moore, Nico. I'm 0-3. So here we're going to be starting Pollard, Sanders. We're going to be starting Higgins, Flowers, or maybe Pittman. Regardless, we have 2 wide receivers, and we have a flex we can start. Very rare instance where I think we can get away with, on an 0-3 roster, holding on to Cooper Kupp. The only thing I'd say is you need to let go of one of these players at the bottom end of the bench. We need to pick up another quarterback that we're going to be playing over Justin Fields. I think you can afford to wait with this team until Kupp comes back, though. Now we have Andres coming out and said 14-team BBR, 1 flex. We have Cousins, Tua, Mixon, Sanders, Keenan, Lamb, Ertz, Moss, Ford, Hunt, Boyd, and Njoku. Cup on the IR, 1 and 2. Love the content. Appreciate you, my man. 14-team format. Fine having both these QBs. We're getting Cup back in long term. We have an elite quarterback we can start every week. We have wide receivers we're pumped about. We have Cup in the flex. Phenomenal team. This is a really nice layout too. And that we have Zach Moss for the flex this week in the short term with no Jonathan Taylor. And then we have Cup in the long-term upside as well. I don't think we do anything. Great team. Billy says 0-3, 10-team at BBR, 1 flex. We have Hurts, London, Amari, Jacobs, Madison, Kelsey, Javonte. On the bench, we have Kelly, Kirk, Ford, Dylan, Tutu, Ayuk. Any moves? Thanks. We really need Ayuk back. We just can't start Drake London. We go Ayuk, Amari in the starting lineup. If we could go through and take 2 of these guys, if we go Christian Kirk and Alexander Madison, get an upgrade at RB2, I think that would be advantageous because I really don't want to roll out Alexander Madison as our RB2 if Akers is going to be active. Frank says, is it time to panic, pick up Stroud off waivers for Fields? Yes, do it. I mean, I don't think you drop Fields, but definitely do not start Fields. Pick up Stroud. Now, LeBron coming out and says, full BBR 4-point passing touchdown format trade. Ayuk, Mostert, and Lawrence for Herbert. Hell no. I mean, if we're doing that, we need a big 3 QB. I don't want to be targeting Herbert whenever we have no Mike Williams going forward. Wallen coming out says 2-1, need running back depth. 16. Oh my gosh. My man, this is a league where we can start 5 wide receivers. Hurts, Goff, Wilson, Etienne, Mixon, Hill. No. You do not need running back depth. 16-team format where we're rolling out Etienne, Mixon, Justice Hill, Tasha. This is a great running back room. Wide receiver, we have AJ, CD, Olave, Samuel, Downs. Keep this team as is. Phenomenal team. I'm assuming it's a dynasty format. If it's a league where we start 3 wide receivers, 2 flexes, we can start 5 wide receivers every single week. We can go through, start AJ Brown, CD Lamb, Olave, Debo, Downs. All these guys are in our starting lineup. We go through and we turn around and sell Debo Samuel and a running back to go get an upgraded running back too. Then all of a sudden we have a massive hole in a flex spot. Great team. You do not need to be upgrading your running back depth there. You're in a phenomenal spot. I would rather prioritize wide receiver depth in a league like that. YRN Leon says 0-3, 12-team full BBR format. We have Burrow, Ford, Sanders, Chase, St. Brown, Godwin, Laporta. Bench, Richardson, Wilson, Hollywood, Addison, Najee, Algier. Lost by half a point today. Oh my gosh, my man. Brutal. If we could have just had 1 touchdown from Burrow. I think looking at the wide receiver depth that we have on the bench, Wilson, Hollywood, Addison, we need to go through, take one of these wide receivers, send them with Jerome Ford and get an upgrade at running back. Go send Garrett Wilson, Jerome Ford, get to ETN, get to Gibbs, get to Walker, get to Mixon. But yeah, tough spot. I mean, we see a lot of Cincinnati stacks that are 0-3 at this point. Now, Egg says, thoughts on Dallas Goddard and Gibbs for Mark Andrews? Probably Goddard and Gibbs. Jose says, thanks, Mason. Won by my matchup by less than half a point. That is awesome. That's awesome, my man. Happy for you. Now, Mistura says, Josh Allen owner wants to trade. What's good to send? 10-team BBR, 1 and 2. We have Watson, Tua, Miles, Ford, Moss, Javonte, Amon-Ra, Puka, Kupp, Hollywood, and Kirk. I'm assuming you're saying Josh Allen, right? Is there another Josh Allen? I mean, is there another Josh that we'd be talking about here? I'm assuming we're not trading for Josh Downs. If it's a 2 quarterback format, I don't think we can afford to trade for Josh. Like, what do we send? If it's a 2 QB format, you want to send Tua and Deshaun Watson for Josh Allen, Justin Fields, you do you, but probably not. We don't have a ton of running back depth here for the long term. Puka is going to be way harder to sell now than he was last week. I don't think there's a nice trade for Josh there. Unless there's a different Josh that I'm not thinking of. It is past midnight. But James coming out says Mahomes, Waddle, Godwin, CMC, Walker, Hawkinson, Swift, Moss, Watson, Taylor, Warren, Roshan, Dotson, Reed, full PPR 10-team league. What's the move? We're 2-1. Great team. If we could somehow swindle ourselves into Travis Kelce, I would like it even more. If you wanted to send maybe like a depth piece, if we can go like Chris Godwin, TJ Hawkinson, or DeAndre Swift, or maybe Zach Moss, Hawkinson, and go get Kelce and go get the Mahomes stack, it'd be even better, my man. Beautiful, beautiful team, though. Really appreciate you as always. Yeah, thank you so much. If y'all don't know, James has been with us forever. Now, our next switch coming out from Jason says, 2-1 PBR, Hurts, Moss, Kyron, Chase, Judy, Hawkinson, Pickens, Waddle, Kamara, Montgomery, Dylan, P. Ryan, Tony, Thielen. Any changes? Thank you. Okay, so running back, Moss, Kyron. Long term, we get Montgomery back in. We have Kamara back in this week. Ooh, this is a nice little team here. In terms of trades, I don't think we're making any. Or waiver. I mean, cut Kadarius Toney. Cut Kadarius Toney. Pick up literally anybody else. And then outside of that, I would actually be looking to start Alvin Kamara immediately this week. I'm very excited about the Saints game. Not only do we have Kamara, but at the same time, we get to watch Jameis Winston go up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, it's going to be entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be entertaining. And if you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We're going to be streaming every single day until 2024. I've already live streamed for 150 days in a row. And if you want me to break down your team way more in depth than I can do on a live stream, best place for that will be flockfantasy.com. That's also where you can find all my rest of season rankings, all my bonus content. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 30% discount. And on top of that, you're going to be getting yours truly breaking down your fantasy football team with a podcast and that Mother Flocker subscription. But going over to our next question here. This one coming out from, I believe, AD says, about trading Derrick Henry and Gainwell or Breida for Pacheco and Tua. Oh, you want Derrick Henry. The owner's Tua on the bench. He has Herbert. If we could go through and trade Derrick Henry for like Jalen Hurts, then sure. If he has Tua on the bench because he has Jalen Hurts, and swap, I'm Tua and Jalen Hurts. Love Tua. Obviously, skyrocketing up rankings. But so maybe I'm crazy, but I don't view him as like the Jalen Hurts tier just yet. Maybe from real life perspective, but fantasy, when he doesn't have the rushing upside, it's harder to get there. Now, Braden says 10-team at BBR where we have Allen, Hill, Lamb, Puka, Kirk, Thomas, Ramondre, Madison, Dillon, Mitchell, Hunt, Hawk. 3-0, but we get running back. Who should we trade for? I definitely think it would be nice if we could send Puka and Alexander Madison and go get that long-term running back upgrade. Just considering the fact with Alexander Madison, I mean, he was great this past week. Good matchup. And at the same time, I mean, he's a running back that for the first 3 weeks has had every single touch out of this backfield. But I do think that there's an outside chance that you end up getting, I mean, Cam Akers coming in and splitting this backfield where neither guy's viable. Now, Juicebox says 10-team BBR where we have Burrow, Love, Connor, Madison, Najee, Algier, Lamb, AJ, Puka, Godwin, MT, McLaurin, Ertz. 0-3 competitive league that's hard to trade. We'll have to overpay a bit. Do we still try to trade? We need 1 flex, 2 wide receivers. Oh my gosh. This is, I do not like this team. I'm going to be completely honest with you. We have Lamb, AJ Brown, but outside of that, like who did we take in round 3 of this draft? I guess maybe Najee. Round 4, maybe we reached on Madison or maybe Burrow. In a league like this, obviously the play is to go through and to see if we can take one of our depth wide receivers like Puka and Alexander Madison to go get that running back upgrade. But the issue is if you're saying that you'd have to overpay, I mean, really hard to be going out there and overpaying in deals whenever we are currently sitting at 0-3. Now, Tyler coming out says, happy BR, 10-team Fields, Bijan, Pollard, AJ, Olave, Henry, Gus Edwards, And the bench is Kamara, Jamison, Roshan, Ayuk, and more. 1 and 2, we lost by 6. This team will be fine. I mean, we're going to get Alvin Kamara that we can start in. Now is about the time that I'm fine rostering Jamison Williams. Yeah, we just had no Kamara. We had no Ayuk. We were stuck starting someone like Gus Edwards. This team's going to be fine going forward. I do like it. Like we said, I mean, I wouldn't hate going through and moving on from Derrick Henry for another running back like ETN. But Mike coming out says drop Devon last week. Oh my gosh, my man. Absolute brutal spot. I will admit, I may or may not have dropped him in a few spots as well. May or may not have. But Marcel says 1 and 2, 16-team PBR with 1 flex, 1 running back. We have Dak, Jacobs, Higgins, Evans, Ayuk, Schultz, Pickens, DJ, Kelly, Hunt. What moves to make? Don't have sell high, looking for Ridley. So you're saying you're wanting to trade for Calvin Ridley here. If you wanted to send, like if we could go Ayuk and a small piece for Calvin Ridley, I would do it. The issue is with this being a 16-team format, depth is going to matter a little bit more. I think the move would be like Ayuk in a small piece, like Kareem Hunt for Calvin Ridley if we could get it done. I would just assume that they're probably going to reject, and I don't want to be giving up too much more in a 16-team league. Now, Riz says, unique position, Laporta and Kittle, lost Williams. Where do we look to trade one of them to replace, and how much fab on Palmer if no trades? I'm super sorry, my friend. I cannot answer fab questions unless you tell me the amount of teams that are in the league and the player that we are going to be dropping. But if I'm looking to go through and trade someone between Sam Laporta and George Kittle, I mean, keep in mind, I did have Kittle as a buy low player before his game this past week, but I wouldn't hate it if you wanted to go out there and look to see what you could get for Kittle, knowing that, I mean, a big reason he did have his spike this past week was, I mean, it's crazy to say, but no Brandon Ayuk really bumps Debo and bumps Kittle. I think no Ayuk has a big difference in this offense. So if you wanted to trade someone, I think you're going to get more value for Kittle. I definitely prefer Kittle over Laporta, but I think you get a really nice deal for Kittle right now. Now, Kellogg says 3-0, 12-team PBR double flex, where you have Lamar, Brian Robinson, Kareem Hunt, Dalvin, Herbert, Tajee, Ridley, Atwell, Woods, Dobbs, Shaheed, Andrews. We lost Chubb and Williams. Considering trading Lamar for a running back and wide receiver pairing, what do you think? So if we lost both Chubb and Mike Williams, where you were sitting right now with Kareem Hunt / Khalil Herbert as your RB2, and we're sitting with Tutu Atwell as your wide receiver 2, 100% I agree. Having the elite quarterback, having the elite tight end is a little bit more of a privilege than a given, especially in a league where it's a 12-team format, double flexes. I hate to say it, very rarely will I ever advise this, but I do think that we sell the elite level quarterback to get some running back wide receiver depth in here. But Joseph says, huge fan, 12-team Happy BR1 flex, where we have Herbert, Cousins, CMC, Walker, Kyron, JT, Kupp, Evans, London, Judy, MT, and Joku. Who do we make an upgrade with at wide receiver or anywhere? Appreciate you, my friend, and you are in a phenomenal, phenomenal spot. The only thing you would do is potentially upgrade tight ends. Like if you wanted to send Kyron Williams, who played, I believe, 100% of the snaps for the Los Angeles Rams today. If you want to send Kyron and David Njoku and go get an upgrade at tight end, go get an elite level tight end because we have JT coming back soon, you can do it. But you don't really have to. But I think it's advantageous maybe in a one flex league. Now, Marcus says 12-team at BBR where we have Allen, Madison, Warren, Hill, Keenan, Andrews, Atwell. We got Taylor on the bench up 3-0 to score the most points this week. Let's go. Let it ride or find a new running back. We have Hunt as well. I think we let it ride. I mean, it would be really nice if we could go through and send Atwell and Alexander Madison to just get a running back we're a little bit more excited about for the long term, especially if we could go get someone like Jahmyr Gibbs. That'd be an absolute no-brainer. In reality, I don't expect too many people to go through and get excited about trading for I don't know. I don't expect too many people to get too excited about trading for Alexander Mattison, if that makes sense. I would still say that's the sell if we have one. I just want to try to get away from telling everybody, oh, sell Alexander Mattison, sell Alexander Mattison. What the hell are we really expecting to get? But I will say, phenomenal team here, my man. 3-0 and getting JT back this week. You're in a good spot. Now, the Bill Wilchicks coming out says 10-team super flex, start 3 wide receiver, 2 regular flex. We have Lawrence, Daniel Jones, Wilson, Gibbs, Ramondre Charbonnet, Algier Warren, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ridley, Devo Puka, London, Quentin Johnson, Nico Waller. Started off slow. What are your thoughts? Should we stand put? Should we make a move? So 3 wide receivers, 2 regular flex. Definitely a league where we are more so inclined to go through and build around depth. So very hard to say, oh yeah, let's just trade this depth wide receiver and this running back. Let's go get an upgraded RB2. No, actually in a league like this, I think that we're looking to stand put. I think that Daniel Jones and Darren Waller will be better going forward. I'm saying this to someone that was going through and avoiding Darren Waller a ton this season. But to be fair to these Jets, I mean, they did play the Dallas Cowboys. They did play the 49ers as well. I think that they will be better going forward. Now, Solid Jenkins says, I'd just like to congratulate T on his new Butterfingers sponsorship. Yes, congrats, T. Higgins. If you can hook me up with that Butterfingers sponsorship, your boy would like it. Your boy would like it. Now, Farrah's coming out and says, full BBR 10-team league. We have Allen, Pollard, Madison, Hill, Ridley, Hawkinson, Brian Robinson. We get offered Gibbs, Tutu for Pollard. Also got offered Saquon Barkley, T. Higgins, Justin Fields, Javonte. For Allen, Ridley, Madison, Gabe Davis, we have Jordan Love. So going from Allen to Justin Fields, massive downgrade. Going from Ridley to T. Higgins, slight downgrade. Going from Madison to Javonte, upgrade. We get Saquon Barkley to do the deal. It's intriguing. And then the other one, if we were looking at Gibbs, Tutu for Pollard, it's Pollard by a mile. The second deal, it's kind of up to you, but please do not be trading away Tony Pollard for Jahmyr Gibbs and Tutu Atwell. Cooper Kupp's going to be back in 2 weeks. Now, Gavin says 12-team BBR format where we have Burrow, Pollard, Gibbs, Tyreek, Mike Williams, Goddard, James Cook, Sutton, MT, Laporta, Quentin, Goff. Just lost Mike Williams, but we're 3-0. How should we replace him? Also, Goddard or Laporta. Oh my gosh. I'm probably going to rank Laporta over Goddard going forward. And it sucks. I drafted so much Goddard this year. I have a lot of Goddard, but it's hard to ignore what Sam Laporta is doing right now. I think we definitely want to keep both guys. And then honestly, I think you have a natural replacement in here. You can go through, you can play Michael Thomas in there over Mike Williams. Obviously, we want to continue to go through and churn the waiver wire, but I'll say, my man, incredible feat to be 3-0 with Joe Burrow getting injured. Phenomenal. Now, Michael coming out saying up 2-1, 10-team full BBR, where we have Allen, Walker, Javonte, Adams, T, Ertz, Brian Robinson, and the bench is White, Jacoby, Njoku, Davis, McLaurin, Gus Edwards. Any suggestions on trades we should make? Thanks, Flock. We just lost Chubb. Okay. It would be really nice to get a tight end upgrade now that it looks like Zach Ertz is not going to be able to be relied upon going forward. If we had Nick Chubb still on this team, I think it would have been an easy move to go through and take Rachaad White and Zach Ertz to go get an upgrade at tight end. We still do have plenty of running back depth with Brian Robinson, Rachaad White as our RB3 and RB4. I think we probably sit on our hands, however, with this team. If we could trade Myers and David Njoku and get a really exciting tight end, then sure, we go ahead and do it. But in reality, probably not happening. Probably not happening. Now, Treaty says rank Mostert, Pacheco, Zach Moss, Khalil Herbert, Ford, and Alvin Kamara. Okay. For this next week, I'm probably going to be going with, interesting, Zach Moss, then Raheem, Kamara, Ford, and then Pacheco, Herbert, up to you. Now, Kevin coming out says 2-1, 10-team, where we have Pat, Chase, Smith, Pollard, Sanders, Ingram, DK. On the bench, we have Kelly, Kirk, Gabe Davis, Gainwell, Ertz, Akers. Any moves? Started Kelly this week over Sanders. I'm so damn sorry, my man. I mean, we're still 2-1, still in a very good spot. I mean, I think that this is a team that doesn't have a ton of depth overall. Completely fine rostering 2 tight ends here with this squad. We have Chase looking good going forward. We have a couple running backs we can be excited about. Very well-balanced team. Nice construction. I don't think we see any clear sell-eye guys. I think we keep it as is, my man. Now, Dylan coming out says 1-2 in a 10-team PBR format. We have Allen, James Cook, Zach Moss, Puka, Hopkins, Kelsey, Lockett, MT. And then on the bench, we have Jones, Cup, JT, and the handcuffs. Kind of panicking. Any thoughts or trades with the team? You're going to be just fine, my man. Like, the thing is, you're 1-2, but you drafted Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp, and we had Aaron Jones get injured. I would say if you were a team that drafted both Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp and had Aaron Jones go down, you are lucky to be 1-2. You're going to be just fine. We just have to survive another week. I think Aaron Jones probably comes back this week. And then obviously Kupp, JT in the long term. Now, Jacob coming out says 12-team PBR super flex, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex, 6-point passing touchdown, where we have Mahomes, Fields, Howell, Gibbs, Ford, Warren, Hunt, Saquon, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Olave, Flowers. Oh my gosh, this team is getting better and better. We have Pitts. Waivers are a wasteland. I lost to the guy who traded for Keenan this week. What are your thoughts and any suggestions? I wish we would have seen the team before the season. I actually like Justin Fields in a 4-point passing touchdown format in fantasy, just based off rushing upside. 6-point passing touchdown format, I have no hope for Justin Fields. The rushing upside can't really just save him and overcome everything in a 6-point passing touchdown league. I think it's going to be a fine team in the long term. Keep in mind, we do have Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to continue to expand his role, continue to get better. We had no Saquon Barkley this week. There's a chance that Saquon Barkley plays this next week. So we had the Keenan Allen blow-up that we went up against. We had no Barkley. We had Gibbs in his 3rd NFL game ever. I think it's a great team. I mean, if you really wanted to go through and make any moves, maybe we take Puka. It's been a wide receiver trying to move off of. If you want to send Puka and Jerome Ford and still see if we can go over and get to the A.J. Brown range, I'd really like it. But in reality, I think it's going to be just so much harder doing that after tonight. Now, Ty coming out says 12-team full PBR, 1 point per completion. We have Watson, Mack, Richardson, Pollard, Kelly, Roshan, Madison, JT, Ridley, Lamb, Devontae, Addison, Quentin Johnson, and Dalton Schultz. Superflex format, I'm fine with this. I will say, even in a 1 point per completion where quarterback production is almost everything, I still probably only roster 2 QBs if it's a 1 quarterback format. What I would also look to do is with Anthony Richardson, someone that's really exciting, I would probably be looking to actually move Anthony Richardson as a small piece to go over and get like Kirk Cousins in a league like this. If it's a full point per completion, we're going to be a little bit more optimizing for passing volume rather than rushing upside with our quarterbacks. Now, Save Stacks and Paychecks coming out says 10-team BBR, 1 flex. We have Lawrence, Etienne, Kyron, Javonte, Amon-Ra Smith, Addison, Evan Ingram. Kupp and Taylor on the bench. I'm 1-2. Are we panicking or making any moves? I'm very sorry to keep this simple, my man. I'm very sorry to not it goes super in depth with this, but very similar to the team that we just looked at previously. My man, you are a team with Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor. And you're 1-2. What were we expecting? This is pretty much best case scenario. You're in a good spot, my man. You're in a good spot. Now, Ryan coming out says 8-team weird rosters, 2 quarterback, 3 flex, and a tight end. We have Watson, Fields, Geno. So bad quarterbacks in an 8-team league. 8-team league, this is trash. Jacobs, Etienne, Javonte, Ford, Miller, Chase, Higgins, Judy, Watson, Wilson, JSN, Addison, Pitts, Kincaid, 0-3, any moves, any trades. The move/trade that we would look to do is probably one that we can't do But if somehow we could take some of this wide receiver depth in an 8-team league, if we could possibly take someone like Garrett Wilson and go send him with Justin Fields or go send him with Deshaun Watson and get a marginal upgrade at quarterback, I would 100% look to do that. Now, in reality, I don't know how useful that is for you because in reality, I would imagine that your league mates probably aren't going to be that excited to make that deal. But that would be like the only thing that I would see. Now, next we're coming out from Billy says trade Lamar to get Fields and Kupp. 3-0 honestly, I would. I hate to say it. I think Lamar is a completely different tier over Fields, but we could always go to the quarterback in a 10-team league and kind of play the waiver wire. And on a 3-0 roster to get Kupp for the long term, I think you make an argument that Kupp himself is worth a little bit more than Lamar Jackson. So I would do it, but it's for Kupp and it's not really for Fields. Fields just like a little added on. Now, Timothy says a 3-0 full BBR. Should we trade Waddle, Kamara for Tyreek Hill? We already have Mahomes, Kelsey, Olave. If this is a league where you have, say, 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, I am fine with you making this move. If this is a league with, say, 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes, you probably look to hold on to the depth. I am really excited about both Kamara and Waddle, but obviously in a shallow format, you got to go ahead and take the best player here. Now, Mark's a good lad. Always happy to see him. My man says 12-team BBR, where we have Geno, Henry, Mixon, A.J. Brown, Keenan, Godwin, Puka, Thielen, Khalil, Judy, Warren, considering offering Geno and Henry for Justin Herbert and Miles Sanders just to get something for Henry. If you're saying this is this Hunter Henry or no, this is Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry to Miles Sanders downgrade. Geno Smith to Justin Herbert, slight upgrade, but not necessarily something I'm looking for whenever we are missing Mike Williams for the rest of the season. So actually, my man, I don't think so. I mean, while yes, I'm very worried about Derrick Henry, I think maybe you're panicking a little too much. But the Fiji Pani, always happy to see you. My man says, what's up, Mason? Trade Sutton, Swift, Tank Dell for ETN. 10-team, 1 flex league, shallow bench. Let's do it just because Sutton and Tank Dell are barely holding on to roster spot. Waiver wire options will be great. Deeper format will be a little bit tougher. I still definitely prefer ETN over DeAndre Swift, but Swift is creeping up there, my man. Swift is looking great. But let me go ahead and refresh this so we can continue to pull up these questions. And as I do this, please, if you have not done so already, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We are going to be live streaming every single day until 2024. I've not missed a day since April. We were 150 days in a row at this point. And also, if you want me to spend way more time than this, breaking down your team in depth with all its league settings, every position, the whole 9 yards, go sign up for flockfantasy.com. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get 30% off any subscription. Mother Flocker tier, yours truly will go through and break down your team with a podcast. You're also going to get all my updated rest of season fantasy football rankings. You're also going to be getting all my premium content, all the rankings and premium content of all your favorite fantasy football people on YouTube. We got Fantasy In-Game. We got Fantasy Stock Exchange. We got everybody over there. I mean, we even have more people than what's currently pictured. And you get everything with promo code FLOCK on flockfantasy.com. But let's try to find our next question. This one coming out from Jared says, 12-team half PPR format, where we have Herbert, St. Brown, Smith, Eckler, Kamara, Goddard, Madison, Edwards, Kelly, Tank Dell, Roshan, Gainwell, 0-3, full panic, please help. We get Kamara back in. We don't really have that much depth on the team that we can go through and look to sell players with. So honestly, I don't really see too many moves that we can look to make. I think that this is a team that we just really have to hope that Alvin Kamara is going to be great, which there's an outside chance that does happen. Now, Roberto coming out says 10-team PBR. I'm 1-2. We have Burrow, Swift, Kyron, Diggs, Puka, Debo, Komet. The bench is Saquon, Amari, Herbert, Madison, Devonta Smith, Njoku, and Stafford. What should we look for? Okay, so with this team, I think that we honestly can afford to go out there and we can afford to get an elite level tight ends. If you're telling me we have like Kyron Williams as our RB3 with the healthy Saquon Barkley, what I would look to do is I'd look to wait until Saquon's back, or honestly do it now. If you can send like Madison and Cole Kmet and go get someone like George Kittle, go send that deal ASAP. I mean, I'm not telling everybody to go out there and trade for that elite level tight end, but specifically when you have this kind of running back depth and we know that you have people struggling in your league for RBs, it will be something I'm looking to do, my man. Now, our next switch coming out from Mike says, should we trade away Ramondre, Aaron Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Jerry Jeudy? I would receive Stephon Diggs and Derrick Henry. Ramondre to Derrick Henry upgrade. Calvin Ridley to Stephon Diggs, massive upgrade. We're paying Aaron Jones and Jerry Jeudy to get it done. It's a 10-team league where we generally do want the best players in the deal. We are getting the 2 best players in the deal. 1 flex format. Let's do it. Now, Heisenberg coming out says 12-team PPR format where we're 1 and 2. We have Lamar, Jacobs, Kyron, Diggs, Amari, Hurst, Ferguson, Terry. On the bench, we have Stroud, Ford, Pierce, Quentin Johnson, Khalil Herbert. What are your thoughts? Any trade ideas? Obviously need a better tight end or maybe upgrade for the flex. I don't necessarily know if we can afford to go out there and do that. I mean, if you really wanted to go ahead and send like Ford and Terry and get an elite level wide receiver in the flex, go for it. You can try. The issue is this kind of team doesn't necessarily have the depth that we saw from the other one. I would be fine rostering 2 tight ends here as well. I would almost rather roster 2 tight ends on a team that has a Lamar Jackson than 2 quarterbacks. Like, I know Stroud's great. Maybe if you can go to the Fields team and get like a marginal upgrade at tight end by sending them CJ Stroud, that could be something we look to do. Now, Pedro says, would you trade Etienne and Puka for CMC? Hell yes, my man. Hell yes. I mean, this has been the kind of deal we've been recommending all week, but I'm honestly surprised to see that you'd still be able to do that post Puka's game tonight. Dylan coming out says 10-team BBR start. Love Ramondre, Javonte, Chase, DK, Higbee, Amari. Bench, we have Najee, Fields, Purdy, Brees, Jeudy, Ford, Pitts. 2 and 1. Any suggestions? I don't, under no circumstance, I want to be rostering 3 QBs. Cut a quarterback. I understand why we want to have these guys. All these guys are exciting. Pick your favorite 2. Keep them. Pick up another running back off the waiver wire that has some upside. And then, or honestly, pick up a backup tight end. I know we have Kyle Pitts. We're fine at tight end. Yeah, so the only thing I'd say is drop a quarterback. You're in a great spot. Great team, my man. And thank you for being a long-time member of the flock. You know I appreciate you, my dude. Now, Avery says 14-team BBR format. We have Burrow, Edwards, Kelly, Puka, Lamb, Cooks, Ferguson. And then on the bench, we have Kupp, Taylor, Bateman, Kamara, Harris, Schultz, Russell Wilson. 0-3, do I hit the panic button? We have Kupp and Taylor. It's a big reason why we're 0-3. I don't like having both these guys on the same team. And I would say, yes, you need to know how many teams make the playoffs in your league. If 6 teams make the playoffs, you need to win, right? You need to win this week. If 8 teams make the playoffs, we probably can just roll the dice, see if we win this week. If we don't, it's not like it's for sure the end of the league. But what I'd probably look to do is I'd probably look to sell one of Taylor or Kupp to get someone that we're actually excited about starting right now, especially at running back. If it is a 14-team format where we're 0-3 and only 6 teams make the playoffs. If 8 teams make the playoffs, then maybe we're going to be a little more lenient. Bradley says 0-3, Stafford, Kyron, Gibbs, Puka, Chase, Mike Williams, Kincaid, Fields, DJ, Roschon, Ertz, Tank Dell, Pierce. I'm close to giving up. I will say the first fantasy football championship I won, I started off 1-4. So, and that was in a 16-team regular season. So a 16-game regular season. So I think you should be fine. I would love to go through and love to see if we could sell Puka and Kincaid and go get a tight end that's going to be viable for the short term. I mean, Kincaid is a long-term upside play, but if we can go sell Puka and Kincaid and go get someone like Andrews, that'd be a no-brainer for this team. Now, Octavio coming out says, love the channel, man. Appreciate you. 1-2, 10-team PPR format. We have Dak, Tyreek, Amonra, James Cook, Ramondre Stevenson, Hunter Henry, Garrett Wilson. On the bench, we have London, Dodson, Akers, Madison, Najee, Flowers. Any moves? We have running back depth here. I mean, we have a lot of it, if we're going to be exact. If we could somehow find a team that's just full-blown panicking at running back, like lost Nick Chubb, send them Alexander Mattison and Dak Prescott, go get an upgrade at quarterback. Or honestly, what I really like doing in some scenarios where we think it's going to be a committee backfield, I really like going through and like sending 2 running backs in that same backfield if we have them, like sending both Cam Akers and Alexander Mattison. Say if we go Akers, Alexander Mattison, and Dak Prescott and get a top 3 quarterback, I think that'd make a lot of sense. I mean, naturally, whenever you send a player like that, a lot of people think that, oh, okay, I for sure have a starting running back. Whereas in reality, the situation kind of turns into, oh, okay, well, if these guys are in a committee, do you have someone that you can start at all, if that makes sense? Okay. But Deerin says, I want to trade Stevenson and Wilson, yes or no? I mean, I've been screaming to sell Garrett Wilson for a while now. I just don't know if you're going to get anything. Andrew says, and then Stevenson, honestly, I don't think you're going to get much out of that. I'd probably hold on to Stevenson. I mean, just based off what I've seen in terms of deals getting done. Andrew says, drop Lawrence for Love. No. You would rather have Trevor Lawrence. James says, 10-team Matt BBR. I'm 1-2. We have Herbert, Jacobs, Etienne, Chase, Kirk, Kittle, Sanders, Javonte, McLaurin, JSN, our main players. Who do you think we could target, and what do you think we should upgrade? Great team. We have a lot of running back depth. If you wanted to go like Christian Kirk and Javonte Williams and go get a stud wide receiver 2, I think that we could do that. And also, I think that you could possibly make an argument that Christian Kirk is a sell high candidate based off the fact that I mean, you've had no Zay Jones over the past 2 weeks. When you get Zay Jones back in here, I really don't know how excited we can be about Christian Kirk. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Joshua, saying 12-team full BBR format, 1-2. We have Burrow, Barkley, Robinson, Gibbs, Higgins, Pittman, Kelsey, Herbert, Elijah, Tank Dell, Zay Jones. With Mike Williams out, what are we looking to do? So I think we have the wide receiver depth still, where if Higgins is good to go, we have Higgins and Michael Pittman. I mean, we do have a running back that we can go through and throw in the flex. We picked up Tank Dell that does have, he does have upside. So honestly, I don't think we panic. I mean, losing out on Mike Williams sucks. If it was like a league where you started 3 receivers and 2 flexes, then at that point, I probably would be panicking. At that point, I would be really worried. But honestly, if this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format, you're going to be completely fine. Now, Deal coming out saying 12-team non-PPR format. We have 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex starting. We have Allen, Connor, Jefferson, Smith, Kelsey, Gibbs, and then on the bench, DJ Moore, Devon, Love, Henry, Kincaid, Stroud, Breida. Gibbs is a no-go for me. Any moves? The main thing is, my man, especially if this is going to be a double flex non-PPR format, we can't be rostering this many tight ends. If you have Travis Kelce, you don't even want another backup tight end. Hell, let's go take Hunter Henry. Let's go take Dalton Kincaid. Let's go sell these tight ends to teams that actually need them. We can go through and we get an upgrade in the starting lineup at either wide receiver or running back. But yeah, what gives you so much value here is when you have Travis Kelce is you can focus in on running backs with waiver wires. I mean, running backs off the waiver wire on the bench for upside. Okay. Now, Matthew says 12-team PBR format, 1 flex, 3-0. We have Love, Bijan, Gibbs, Keenan, Sutton, Pickens, Kincaid. On the bench, we have Daniel Jones, fine roster in those 2 QBs. Hayden Hurst, fine roster in 2 tight ends with this format. Wilson, Brian Robinson, Roschon. Any advice? Loving the content. Really appreciate you, my friend. I would see if we could go through and send Garrett Wilson and Cortland Sutton to go get a long-term wide receiver upgrade. But in reality, I think it's a fine roster construction. We're 3-0. We're going to be even better going forward as Bijan and Gibbs continue to progress. So great team. Love the spot. Now, George coming out says 14-team full BBR format. Jacobs, Nico Collins for Walker and Amari. I think you got to go Walker and Amari at this point. I don't think many people argue with that. Tingley says just turned 0-3, 10-team BBR format. We have Lawrence, Pacheco, Kamara, Ford. Okay, thank God we get Kamara back in. Devonta, Puka, Amari, London, Flowers, Dotson, Kelsey. Any advice? Been unlucky, going to grab Khalil Herbert. Yeah, if you get Khalil Herbert off the waiver, going to drop Khalil Herbert. Oh, I wouldn't drop Khalil Herbert. I mean, if I was going to drop someone here, I'd drop Jahan Dotson if I'm going to be honest with you. I think it'll be better going forward. I still stand by the fact I would love to see if we can go through and sell Puka and get someone we're excited about. Go sell him for Waddle. Go sell him for Amon or St. Brown, Olave, Smith. It's probably going to be much harder to do that now. But I would be willing to go through and throw in someone like Drake London to get that deal done still. Now, Scholes coming out says, 10-team full BBR. We have Lawrence, Richardson, Swift, Bijan, Rashad White, CeeDee Lamb, Smith, Higgins, Goddard, Sam Laporta. Tough week, looking to make moves. Fine roster and 2 quarterbacks here. Fine roster and 2 tight ends here. We have the running backs with the long-term production. My man, we're in a great spot. If you really wanted to go through and send like, I don't know, maybe Devonta Smith for like Calvin Ridley to get the stack with Trevor Lawrence, you can do that if you want. If the Ridley owner is really nervous about what they have in Jacksonville, I think you're going to be fine. Now, Jamie coming out says, or if you wanted to send, say, Anthony Richardson to like the Justin Fields team to go get a significant upgrade at either running back or at tight end, right? Go send Goddard and Anthony Richardson, send them to the Justin Fields team and go get a tight end that you're very comfortable with. Now, Jamie says, Makefield, Gibbs, Mostert, Amari, Pittman, Wilson, Barkley, Watson, Judy, Swift, Flowers. What moves can we make? Second highest score the last 2 weeks. I mean, you're in a great spot. I mean, long-term, we definitely need a better quarterback than this, though. I mean, especially as we get Saquon Barkley back in here. If we get Saquon Barkley back in, my main thing is I want to be taking Raheem Mostert, and I want to be sending him for an upgrade at quarterback where we're not having to rely on Baker Mayfield going forward. I mean, I love Mostert. I mean, the man's been crushing it over the past 3 weeks. But when you do get Jeff Wilson Jr. in here, I don't know what the role is going to be. It may be a 3-man running back by committee. Now, our next switch coming out from Red Wings and Jazz says 1 and 2, 10-team standard. We have Dak, Love, Brees, JT, Connor, Ford, Herbert, Algier, Jefferson, Lamb, Keenan, DJ, Ingram. What should we look to do? Love the content as always. Really appreciate you, my man. Getting JT back in 2 weeks is going to be a lifesaver for this team. We have the elite level wide receivers. Really, the only thing that this team could look to do is look to upgrade either at the top end of running back or at quarterback or tight ends. In reality, I think we have a very well-balanced roster where I'm probably not going to do anything where we have the long-term upside of running back with Brees and JT. If this was 2 weeks ago, you know, we were screaming to sell Brees, but now reality, you're not going to get anything for Brees. So it's not going to be worthwhile going and trying. You can try, but it's not going to happen. Yeah, so we have the short term with Connor and Ford, the long term with JT and Brees. We have the elite receivers. Great team. Great team. Steve says, how BBR 10-team 2-1. We have Cousins, Love, Kyron, Eckler, Ford, Algier, Waddle, Ayuk, Debo, Lamb, Tutu, Ingram, and Henry. Who do we drop for Tank Dell / others? So I think the bottom end of this team, the worst guy you would have would probably be a backup quarterback or a backup tight end. I think Jordan Love, Hunter Henry would be the first guy I'd be dropping. If you could go pick up like Devon off the waiver wire, that would be something I'd look to do. But honestly, the bottom end of this bench is pretty damn good. It's not easy to go through and drop anybody there. Now, Devontae says 12 teams start 9, 1 quarterback. We have Fields, Kyler, Bijan, Gibbs, Swift, Waddle, Lamb, London, Keenan, Sutton, Thomas, Hawkinson. I'm 0-3 with the most points scored against. Practice patience. Obviously, Evan Fields is a brutal spot to be in. I don't think we have the depth to get away from Fields, though. If Kyler is on your IR, then sure, fine. But if Kyler's not on your IR, if you're rostering an actual, like he's on your actual bench, you have to cut Kyler and you have to pick up a quarterback that we can maybe start over Fields in the short term. But real quick, ladies and gentlemen, let me go pee. Be back in 1 second. God, it is so much hotter in here than it is the rest of the house. Okay, but let's get this back up here. And our next question coming out from Austin says, should we trade Mostert or Higgins for A.J. Brown? Oh, I'd trade Raheem Mostert for A.J. Brown in a heartbeat. I'd trade either guy for A.J. Brown. Girl, you can't come in here. 1 second. The dog's in here. I got to close the door. Everybody's asleep. Go outside. Go outside. Come on. girl. You're a good girl. No. I know. I'll get you in a second. I know. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Jack says, have BBR starting Lawrence, Keenan, Waddle, McCaffrey, Stevenson, Kittle, Lockett, Pittman. On the bench, we have Thielen, Ford, Shaheed, Mims. Should we try to upgrade at running back 2 or at quarterback? I understand, yeah, Lawrence has been bad over the past few weeks. I expect him to be better. Honestly, I would say Stevenson's going to be fine as well. Non-BBR format, definitely be worried about Stevenson. But full BBR format, half BBR league, I think you're going to be fine. Yeah, especially if this is going to be a league where you have 2 flex spots where that wide receiver depth matters. Love the team. Zach says trade Jacobs and Michael Thomas for CeeDee Lamb. Depends on the format, but full BBR league, you can get, seems like a fair price for Josh Jacobs. Health Guide coming out says 18 PBR league. We have Lawrence, Fields, Chase, Brown, Kupp, Saquon, Etienne, Mixon, Andrews, DK, Kirk, JT, Watson. Any upgrade advice? Here you have the elite level quarterback production. You have a great tight end as well with the Lamar and Andrews stack. It's an 8-team league, so that is going to be a top priority. We have great wide receivers at the very top end as well. If we could take like Christian Watson, send him with Joe Mixon to get an RB upgrade, then sure, we do it. In reality, that's a phenomenal team. Now, Ferris says 12-team PBR format. We're 1 and 2. We have Lawrence, Etienne, Pierce, Amon-Ra, Watson, Kelsey, Addison, Dotson, Tank, Warren, Hunt, Akers, Taylor. Where should we upgrade? Down there on the bench, an expendable piece would be someone like Tank Dell. If you could send Tank Dell and Dameon Pierce and get a running back that we're a little bit more comfortable with, I think that'd make a lot of sense. Really like that we don't have the backup tight end here when we have Travis Kelce. We get Jonathan Taylor back in the long term. Great team. JJ coming out says 10-team PBR format. 2 quarterbacks, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 2 flex. We have Richardson, Geno, Stroud, Etienne, White, JT, Chase, St. Brown, Kupp, Godwin, Tutu, JSN, Hawkinson, Laporta. Should we sell Kupp and another piece for a running back? #GoFlock. Really appreciate you, my man. And I would say no. This league, keep this team as is, specifically in a format where you're going to start 3 wide receivers. And on top of that, you have 2 flex spots, so we can get up to 5 wide receivers from a week-to-week perspective. You are highly incentivized to go out there and instead build around this wide receiver depth, going through and selling Kupp plus a piece. Like going Kupp and adding on another piece to go get an upgrade at running back 2. Typically, that's something that I think would be fine. Typically, that's something I think we could go ahead and do if it's going to be a league where you start, say, 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. But in a league where you start 3 wide receivers and 1 flex, like that's the exact opposite of what I would want, my friend. Okay. Now, Mark coming out saying 8-team league, PBR 1 flex. We have Fields, CMC, Walker, Adams, Olave, Hawkinson, Pittman with Zay Richardson on the bench. Should we try to trade for a quarterback or am I fine? So 8-team league, getting an elite level quarterback is going to be a big time difference maker, specifically because everybody in an 8-team format is going to have great options when it comes to running back, great options when it comes to receiver. Really, quarterback's going to be the way that you can make yourself stand out. And we do have Richardson, but if you could take Richardson and maybe someone like Michael Pittman and get up to like a top 4 quarterback, I think we would, my friend. Okay. Now, JJ Perez is 3-0 as well. Okay, 3-0. 3-0, especially when to keep Cooper Kupp for the long term, my man. Kobe says Josh Allen and Puka for Higgins and Etienne. Higgins, Puka, kind of about the same for me. Etienne, Josh Allen, kind of about the same for me. Very fair deal. Up to your roster, my friend. Stu Barchive says 0-3, 10-team full BBR. We have Tua, Brian Robinson, Javonte, Chase, Diggs, Musgrave, AJ Brown. The bench is Hopkins, Lockett, and a bunch of handcuff running backs. What's the best thing to do? 0-3, we are on full-blown, I don't want to say panic mode, but you need to be treating it as if it is a playoff game. 0-3, it's win or go home. So any bench value that I have, I am sending in a 2-for-1 deal to upgrade somewhere in the starting lineup. Thinking long-term upside is not really going to matter. Instead, we are highly prioritized to go through and focus in on production today, my friend. Okay. But our next question coming out from, I believe, Dadboy Low says 12-team PPR, where we have Kamara, JT, Connor, Zach, Swift, Herbert. Thinking of trading Swift for Josh Jacobs. What are your thoughts? This is a very interesting question. Can I have everybody in the live chat go down there and spam? Who would you rather have rest of season? Would you rather have DeAndre Swift or Josh Jacobs? I mean, with Jacobs, he's been very disappointing, but he has been seeing pretty much every single snap, every single touch in his backfield. So I don't want to come out here and act like Josh Jacobs is completely done all of a sudden. Swift is obviously in the much better offense. We got Swift, Jacobs, Swift, Jacobs, Swift, Jacobs. So it does look like people are more so split on this. I would probably go Josh Jacobs still. If you are wanting to trade for Jacobs, you probably want to do it this week, knowing he's going up against the Chargers next week. I'm sorry, he's going up against Chargers this week. Now, AR says, please advise, should we trade Hill for Aaron Jones and Metcalf? Hell no, please keep Tyreek Hill, my man. Tyreek Hill, completely different tier. Rob coming out again says, 1-2 in a 14-team full PPR format, where we have Tua, Baker, Pacheco, Breida, Pierce, Amon-Ra, Waddle, Puka, DJ Burks, Downs, Wandale, Otten, Gesicki, being offered Swift, Addison, Laporta for Amon-Ra and Dameon Pierce. So 14-team format, it's not as simple as saying, give me the best player in the deal. I'm just easily going to go with that side. Waiver wire options, we will the backfield. No. 14-team format, depth's going to matter a little bit more. Would I rather have Jordan Addison or Dameon Pierce? Kind of up to you, kind of up to your roster. Really your personal preference. Would I rather have DeAndre Swift and Sam Laporta or Amon-Ra St. Brown? I would easily rather have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Even if it's a 14-team format, I understand the thought process here, my man. I actually don't mind at all giving up the best player in this deal. If you wanted to make this deal and hold on to Dameon Pierce, I think it would be much more interesting if we were to trade away St. Brown for Swift, Addison, and Laporta, because we had a super easy guys to drop, right? We dropped Mike Gesicki. We dropped Wan'Dale Robinson easily. But I don't know if we can include Pierce there. Now, Coops coming out says 12-team PPR, where we have Cousins, Ridley, Amari, Swift, Pierce, Andrews, Puka, Pacheco, Terry, Dalvin, Dell, Gibson, Russ. Any ideas for a better running back or upgrades overall? I'd probably cut Russell Wilson, pick up a running back off the waiver wire, try to find the next Kyron Williams that way. If you really wanted to go through and make a deal for a running back, maybe you could send Puka and a player like Isaiah Pacheco and go get a running back that we like in the long term at the flex. If we can go Puka and Pacheco and get to Gibbs, get to ETN, get to Walker, get to Mixon, get to the usual suspects that we've been recommending sell Puka for a while, I think that would be interesting. I think it would be interesting, especially in a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Okay. Now, our next is coming out from Jason says, 12-team league, Burrow, CMC, Mixon, Metcalf, Williams, Addison, Pitts, Roshan. Bench is Stafford, Burks, Damian Johnson, Devon, Tony. What should we do? So missing out on Williams here is actually going to be a significant hit, just given the fact that you are sitting here saying, oh, okay, well, who's our fill-in? I guess it's Devon. We go with Addis. Actually, no, we can't even do that. We already have a running back in the flex. We need a wide receiver to fill in. Plan A is to go to the waiver wire, see if we can find someone, but oh my gosh, what can we do here? I wouldn't mind. So Stafford's going to be very similar to some of the other guys that you have off the waiver wire at the quarterback position. I understand why we're rostering him now with how the game looked coming into it with, all the uncertainty that you had regarding Joe Burrow. But now if we were going to want to commit to start Joe Burrow going forward, I'm not saying it's an easy call, right? But we're definitely starting him over Stafford. And if he aggravates his injury, then we're going to be looking at a player like Stafford off the waiver wire anyway. I wouldn't mind if you wanted to go through and cut Matthew Stafford, because what we're going to need with this team, especially if we have to start 3 wide receivers, is as many shots to find a startable player off the waiver wire as possible. Probably don't want to be rostering a backup quarterback with this format and with this team in particular. So start Devon over Roschon. Cut Stafford for a running back wide receiver. If the Burrow injury gets serious and all of a sudden we can't start Joe Burrow, then we're going to go to the waiver wire for a quarterback regardless. Really tough spot. I mean, the less maybe long-term, I mean, if we can't solve it off the waiver wire over the next few weeks, we may end up having to sell CMC for a package, but I would rather not do that right now. I'd rather try to figure it out off the waivers. Austin says team is Allen, CMC, Walker, Diggs, St. Brown, Evans, Andrews, Mostert. The bench is Robinson, George Pickens, Devonta Smith, Joe Mixon, and T. Higgins. Should we trade Mostert for A.J. Brown? Hell yes, my man. I mean, here at running back, we have CMC and Kenneth Walker. Mostert's expendable anyway. A.J. Brown will score significantly more points rest of season. I mean, he's just a much safer guy overall. Phil says, so I'm 1-2 in an 18 PBR league. I did your trade suggestion of Hunter Henry and Jerome Ford to get Kelsey. Didn't expect that to happen. I think you robbed the man, my man. Like, I literally never in a million years advocate for vetoes. But if you came back out tomorrow and you were telling me, oh, Mason, I ended up, that trade got vetoed. Would I be that surprised? Probably not. Now, Dime's coming out, says 10-team double flex PPR. We have Hurts, Sanders, Pacheco, Warren, Najee, Amari, Lockett, Devonta, Puka, Godwin, Kelsey, Gainwell. Versus the top 3 team next week. Any suggestions? 2-1 currently. Double flex league. Depth will matter a little bit more. I do want to reiterate, if we can sell Puka, go get someone like A.J. Brown. Absolute no-brainer. I'd be willing to throw in a depth running back like Isaiah Pacheco to get that done. I understand that we're not super strong at running back at the moment, so maybe you're a little hesitant to do it. But with a team that we can start up to 4 wide receivers, still looking to make that move, especially if we can stack Jalen Hurts with Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. Definitely would have been an easier trade to do last week, but overall, great team with Kelsey and Jalen Hurts. Roster as many high upside wide receivers and running backs we can. Now, James says 10-team at PBR format with 1 flex. We're 1-2 where we have Herbert, Jacobs, ETN, Chase, Kirk, Kittle, Sanders, Javonte, McLaurin, JSN are the main players. Where do you think we should look to upgrade? So, I mean, much better spot now that we have Chase actually going out there and performing. We have Sanders in there at the flex as well. If you really wanted to do anything, I wouldn't fault you if you wanted to take like Terry McLaurin and Christian Kirk to sell them in a package to get a long-term upgrade at wide receiver. Just because with Kirk, I think he could be an intriguing sell. Before Zay Jones comes back in. Because if Zay Jones comes back in, realistically speaking, I don't know what the volume looks like for Christian Kirk, at least based off what we saw week 1. Now, Treaty says, drop Justin Tucker. I would not. Hokum Lawrence, even though I don't play in fantasy leagues with kickers anymore. I don't know what's going on with kickers, but Hokum Lawrence. Rank Hollywood, Zay, and Nico Collins. I'd go Zay, Hollywood, then Nico Collins, my friend. Mike says, sup, Mason, I sold Mostert and Laporta for Hawkinson. Really like it. I was trying to get a running back upgrade, but my league mates weren't having it. I'm 3-0 and I have JT with Connor. I think it's a good deal. Considering we're 3-0, considering you get Jefferson Jr. back in 2 weeks, and also you're going to be in a tough spot with Devon Achane expanding his role. Batman Gaming says, Happy BR just got offered Godwin and Dotson for Pittman. Do we take it? I'd rather have Pittman over Godwin. I think Dotson is like a borderline rosterable player at this point. Really up to your personal preference. I'm not going to fault you at all if you wanted to go Pittman. Now, Artie says, who do you think I should trade for? I just lost Mike Williams. I want to definitely trade. We have Mixon in either Hollywood or Jerry Jeudy. I will put out a buy low wide receiver video later this week, my friend. But honestly, I think Jerry Jeudy, Mixon, and Hollywood are holds for the moment. If anybody was going to be a sell, there would be Hollywood, but I don't think you're going to get anything for him. But Dylan, let me go ahead and we'll get to your question a little later on. Let me go in order here, my man. But let me make you a moderator just because you're always out here. And thank you so much for always hanging out with us in the live streams, my man. And you don't have to do anything if you don't want to, if you're a moderator. I mean, if you wanted to do something, I mean, just put user in timeout if someone keeps on copying and pasting the same question over and over and over again in the chat. But, I mean, overall, just get a little bit of cred in the live chat with the little gear next to the name. But anyway, our next question coming out from, I believe, Soul Assassin, who says, should I start Jamal or Stevenson? I'm assuming you mean Javonte, and we are going to go Stevenson over Javonte. And then should we start Thielen, DJ Moore, or any of the ones I mentioned for the flex? Also, is it safe to start Barkley if he plays? If Barkley plays, I will play him over someone like Adam Thielen. I'd probably go with, honestly, oh my gosh. I think plan A is Stevenson and Barkley. Plan B probably is Thielen if Mingo misses in there at the flex. Can everybody please spam the Chad? The Chad. Can everybody spam the chat? Who would you rather play this week? Would you rather go with Javonte against the Bears, or would you rather go with Adam Thielen? Adam Thielen or Javonte Williams in the chat, please spam. Tyler says Burrow, Love, or Goff. Long-term Burrow, short-term Goff. Benny says, do you think Tank Dell or Nico Collins will be the wide receiver one? We asked the live chat this earlier. Everybody was on Tank Dell. I don't know. Yeah, the Chad. Spam the Chad. Javonte, Thielen, Javonte. Javonte, Thielen. Javonte, Thielen. Javonte is cooked. Thielen revenge game. Interesting. I did not even know that. But, so, Mr. Filthy Wub says, 12-team PBR trying to find the next Zach Moss. Any ideas? Really hard. I don't necessarily think that there are any running backs right now that are like an injury away from seeing like 30 touches in a game. Some running backs that I like as like premium handcuff backs that maybe aren't rostered in your league, Zach Charbonnet and Tajay Spears. Random name says 14-team PBR 1 flex. We have Lawrence, Bijan, Ramondre, Ford, Akers, Mitchell, AJ, Christian Watson, Puka, Davis, Cooks, Kincaid, Everett, who to target, Laporta, Hurts. Herbert, need a quarterback and a tight end. I don't think you need a quarterback 14-team format. You're going to be fine with Lawrence. I do think he's still a top 14 quarterback, and I don't think that we have the overall depth where we can afford to go out there and upgrade at wide receiver. Because it's a 14-team format, I think we're actually going to be sitting on our hands with these receivers currently. Obviously, I still stand by if we can sell Puka for Olave, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, we still do it. I doubt that we can based off tonight. But one other thing is, honestly, I'd probably drop Everett and pick up another tight end off the waiver wire. Benny says, also what happened to the LaCroix. When I talk this fast in the live streams, I can't drink anything with carbonation. I can't risk having a burp and like just the amount of words that I'm saying per minute right now is too much for me to drink carbonated water. We need regular water. Soul Assessing, yeah, we assumed you meant Javonte, my friend. And Ashwood says, 10-team at PBR, Tua, CMC, Etienne, Waddle, Williams, Hawkinson, Walker, Evans. And then on the bench, we have Watson, Warren, White, Elijah, Myers, 40 Fab, 4 Tank, 4 Mike Williams. Ooh, okay, thank you for giving me clarity. It's a 10-team league. So who are we dropping here, my man? That's the question. So we're dropping Mike Williams, but the next worst player on this team is Elijah Moore. So typically the last roster spot that you would have, like if you were going to drop someone next week, would be Elijah Moore. How much do I think is it worth to upgrade from Elijah Moore to Tank Dell? Do I think that's worth 40% of our fab? To be honest with you, no, I don't. To be honest with you, my man, if I was like, I know you're technically dropping Mike Williams, but that's not how we should view this. The worst player on the team previously was Elijah Moore. I think we probably look closer to about 15 to 20% rather than 40%. Now, Rajan coming out says, Mason, my brother, should I be trading Jacobs? Need running back depth. We have Waddle, DK, Puka, Madison, Gainwell, Sanders. I should be trading for Jacobs. If you wanted to trade for Jacobs, I would send Puka for Jacobs. Hell, I'd go through and send, maybe Alexander Madison and Puka for Josh Jacobs and another wide receiver in return. I wouldn't mind that at all. Now, Boxing with MU says 10-team Superflex. We have Lamar, Hurts, Kyler, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, Breece Hall, Jarrett McKinnon, Condre Miller, Devontae Adams, Smith, Kirk, Judy, Flowers, Addison, Higbee. 1 and 2, what running back do we go for? Running back, you're going to be getting Aaron Jones back in this week. You still have the long-term upside of Breece Hall. Assuming it's a full PBR format, would love to sell David Montgomery to wide receiver depth piece. We go like David Montgomery and Christian Kirk and get to Gibbs, get to Mixon, get to Ramondre, get to Walker, get to ETN. Love that. Now, Liam says 12-team full BBR format where we have Lawrence, CMC, Gibbs, Allen, Lockett, Hawkinson, Kyron, Davis, Mitchell, Woods, Parker, Addison, Mingo. Any advice? I love the team. The only thing is we're rostering way too many wide receivers down at the bottom end of the bench that maybe don't have the upside to turn into like the next Kyron Williams. I think you drop Robert Woods, you drop Devontae Parker, maybe drop Jonathan Mingo depending on the concussion, and maybe pick up some running backs off the waiver wire. That could be the next Jerome Ford, the next Kyron Williams, the next Kareem Hunt, the next guy that's really exciting there. Now, Ethan says 2-1. We have Fields, Diggs, St. Brown, Metcalf, Connor, Mostert, Frymuth, Godwin. Should we trade Metcalf for Allen or Tua? Or should we pick up Stroud? I would love to trade DK Metcalf for Josh Allen, my man. I would love that. Now, Devon says quarterback is Fields and Burrow. Should we trade? We have Love, Stroud off of the waiver wire. I think, honestly, we're going to keep as is. I mean, reality, we've already invested so much into the quarterback position. To go through and trade for one now would be very, very tough. I don't know what we'd be sitting at with running back, wide receiver. And now Amari coming out says 10-team Happy BR, pick 3 receivers, 1 flex. We have Allen, Diggs, Higgins, Addison, Moss, Madison, Waller, Sanders. And then on the bench, we have Christian Watson, Rashad White, Christian Kirk, David Montgomery, Richardson, and Reynolds. I'm 1-2 now. What moves do we look to make? Great team. I mean, we have so much depth here that I think you could, if you really wanted to, go through and take one of these depth receivers, such as Christian Kirk with Alexander Madison, and go get an upgrade at RB2. But what may be actually a little bit easier is to take Anthony Richardson, and when we have Josh Allen, if we can send Anthony Richardson and Alexander Madison and go out there and get someone that we're really excited about at RB2 in the long term, I would like that. Now, news says Pittman, Kamara, Quentin Johnson for A.J. Brown and Ramadre. Oh, we're definitely going to go. I mean, Kamara, Ramadre, kind of close. Pittman, Quentin Johnson, A.J. Brown. Definitely give me A.J. Brown. We're going to go Brown side. Joey says 12-team full BBR format, 1 flex. Offered a trade of Hill and Brees for Diggs and ETN. Ooh, interesting. We have Allen, Jacobs, Amari, Musgrave, Lockett. Very nice team. Very fair trade. I would love to get the sense of what the live chat has to say here. Can everybody please help out Joey? Because I think this is honestly a trade that is too close for me to even bring up. But what side would y'all rather have? Would you rather have Tyreek Hill and Breece Hall? Or would you rather have Stephon Diggs and Travis Etienne? Please let me know, ladies and gentlemen. Please let me know. Diggs and ETN, Diggs and ETN. Hill, Diggs, 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 Diggs. Hill, Diggs, Hill. Looks like the majority of people are saying Tyreek Hill. I'm sorry, Stephon Diggs. I think you probably use the tiebreaker as well in the favor of Stephon Diggs, knowing that we have Josh Allen here. Now, A-Money says 2-1, 10-team BBR format, where we have Lamar, Jacobs, Kamara, Diggs, AJ, Waddle, Laporta, Sanders, Montgomery, Judy, Watson. Do we trade Sanders and the Cleveland defense for Brian Robinson Jr. and the 49ers defense? Yeah, I think you're completely fine to do this. I think if you would rather have Brian Robinson Jr. over Miles Sanders, send it. I mean, I'm not really making trades going out of our way to upgrade DSTs, though. Now, next question coming out says, Dread Chapo says, made 2 trades, got DK Pierce for Kittle, Javante. Probably a good deal. Actually, I don't know. We have Hollywood Ford Cousins for Devonta Smith, James Conner. First trade up to you. The second deal, I would way rather have Devonta Smith and James Conner. And did you ever send Dread Chopper? Send me. I told you, send me that DM on Discord. I would love a shirt. Love a shirt. Really hope we got the Devonta Smith, James Conner side of things on the second deal. First side of it, honestly, up to you. I think it can go either way. But yeah, shoot me a DM on Discord and be super happy to get you my address. But Matt coming out saying 1-2, 10-team, 1 flex. Where we have Mahomes, Goff, CMC, Pollard, Olave, Amari, Goddard, Judy, Madison, Kirk, Johnson, Nico, Najee. Moves to make, thinking for a better wide receiver 1. I mean, Olave's phenomenal. Amari's a great wide receiver 2. The only thing I'd say is if we have Mahomes, you don't need a backup quarterback here. So if you wanted to go like Goff and Olave and get a marginal wide receiver upgrade, or Goff and Amari and get a marginal wide receiver upgrade, you can go ahead and you can do that. Considering the fact that we have Mahomes, we don't really need that backup QB, and we could possibly get something from the Justin Fields team. Now, Tony coming out says 1 and 2, 10-team full BBR format, double flex. We have Allen, Eckler, Gibbs, Roshan Miller, Gainwell. Wide receiver, we have AJ, Amari, Zay, Ayuk, Gabe Davis, Dallas Goedert. We lost Mike Williams. What's the move? Losing Mike Williams does suck here in a double flex format, but still, at least it's only a 10-team league, so we should have some viable options off the waiver wire. We have solid wide receivers here through the first 4. Our running, honestly, this is a fine team. I think we're in a great spot in the long term. Whenever we get Austin Eckler back from his injury, that is the main thing. I mean, we can lose Mike Williams, but we need Eckler with this team. I love that we're not rostering a backup quarterback when we have Allen. Phenomenal squad. I think we just played the waiver wire and really hope that Eckler's back this week. Okay. Now, Klubo coming out says, full BBR 18-team league 3-0. Congrats, my man. That is awesome. We have Lamar, Etienne, A.J. Brown, Pittman, Debo, Gabe Davis. And then on the bench, we have Khalil Herbert, Devon Achane, Christian. Oh, my gosh. I want to trade for Waddle. Who should we package up? Keep in mind, 18-team league, way harder to send multiple pieces for one in return. We will be lowballing him if this is the deal. I think we probably go like Gabe Davis and Cortland Sutton, Gabe Davis, Christian Watson at the very most. Maybe Gabe Davis and Khalil Herbert. Great team, great situation. We are in the position of power, though, if you're giving up 2 starters for one in return in that 18 format. Tyler says Burrow or Love. We're probably going to go ahead. We're probably going to be taking... Jordan Love this week, if both Watson and Aaron Jones play. It's going to really depend on the reports that we get out of Cincinnati. Okay. Now, Ray coming out saying, currently we are 1 and 2. We have Herbert, Jacobs, Etienne, Williams, Kelly, Diggs, Addison, Pitts, Thomas, Myers, Moore, Tony. Any suggestions to improve in a 14-team format? Well-balanced wide receiver. I would say probably we're rostering too many wide receivers. I mean, we have Jacobs, Etienne, Williams, Kelly. 4 running backs. Wide receiver, we have Diggs, Addison, Thomas, Myers, Moore, Tony. I would cut Tony for a running back if we can pick one up. If it's a start 2 running back, start 2 wide receiver, and 1 flex league. Outside of that, if you could pivot off of Justin Herbert, and I don't know. I mean, I don't want to panic, but if you could go from like Herbert in a small piece and get up to the Josh Allen range, I think that'd be a no-brainer. Or even the Lamar Jackson range. Like if you sell Herbert for Lamar with the Mike Williams injury, I'd really like that. Now, VR Karma coming out saying, 10-team BBR where we have Fields, Bijan, Pirine, Lamb, Allen, Pitts, Olave, Ridley. On the bench, we have Ayuk, Geno, Higbee, Juju. Any suggestions looking for a running back upgrade? Cut Juju Smith-Schuster, pick up a running back off the waiver wire. If you wanted to send Ayuk and Samaje Perine and go get a better RB, let's do it. Fundamentally, though, if you have like Samaje Perine in their RB2 and we are loaded at wide receiver like this team is, can't be rostering guys like Geno Smith down there on the bench. I'm sorry, not Geno Smith. Juju Smith-Schuster. Go pick up a running back with upside. Now, our next switch coming out from, I believe, Belly says 2-1, 12-team BBR format where we have Fields, Love, Diggs, St. Brown, Pittman, Lockett, Flowers, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, Pacheco, Kyron Williams, Roshan, Darren Waller. What's the best move? I think Waller will be better going forward. I like the 2 quarterback pairing. We can play the matchups. Aaron Jones will be coming back. We have Kyron Williams that's playing every single snap. We have the elite receivers. We don't have, I mean, it was super big imbalance one way or another. Great team. Honestly, not doing anything with the team. I think you're in a perfect spot. YNG says, should we trade Stevenson for DeAndre Swift? Ooh, this is a good question because we are going to have to finalize these rest of season rankings to upload on Underdog tomorrow. Can everybody help me out with this? Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Ramondre Stevenson or DeAndre Swift? Rest of season here, ladies and gentlemen. Spam the chat. Are you going Ramondre Stevenson or DeAndre Swift? Okay, we got Swift. Literally in consensus, everybody's Swift. Thank God I know this. I don't remember who we put higher in our rest of season rankings, but now I know for damn sure we want to have DeAndre Swift over Ramondre Stevenson. Now, our next question coming out from Zach says, do I trade Stevenson for Derrick Henry? And I'm not even going to talk about the trade. Just coming from someone who's played in Dynasty Fantasy Football Leagues since 2014, I have about a decade of experience in Dynasty. Under no circumstance should someone go through and be able to trade for 2027 picks. If your Dynasty League is trading away 2027 picks, think about it. We need to finish the 2023 season. We need to go through the 2024 offseason. We need to go through the 2024 season. We need to go through the 2025 offseason. We need to go through the 2025 season. We need to go through the 2026 offseason. We need to go through the 2026 season to be in the 2027 offseason. I promise you, if this is happening, there will be multiple teams that get completely wrecked and have no shot to ever compete. It will ruin your Dynasty League. And please do not allow trades of 2027 picks. And I would never want to trade for someone's 2027 first, because if that was happening across the league, I don't think that the league's lasting until 2027. Dylan says 2-1, 10-team BBR, where we have Love, Stevenson, Javonte, Chase, DK, Higbee, Amari. And then on the bench, we have Najee, Fields, Brees, Ford, Judy, Purdy, Pitts. Any suggestions? All right. Having three quarterbacks here is a little tough. I think we already looked at this. Now, having three QBs is going to be something that I really don't like to see. I mean, if you could trade Jordan Love and Tyler Higbee to go get a long-term upgrade at tight end, let's do it. And then just roster the combination of Brock Purdy and Justin Fields, or vice versa. If you wanted to trade Fields and Higbee to get that upgrade at tight end, or Purdy and Javonte and get an upgrade at running back, essentially to go through and see if we can get anything for one of these quarterbacks. That way we only had to roster two QBs here, and we don't just really put ourselves in a bad spot when it comes to running back and wide receiver depth. Outside of that, really do like the wide receivers. Running back Stevenson and Javonte, I feel like honestly are maybe a little bit disrespected at this point. The thing is, we're only rostering 4 total RBs, and we don't have like an elite RB1. I would love to roster a 5th running back if we can. So if we can move off a quarterback and get an upgrade literally anywhere, and pick up another running back, I would be looking to do that, my friend. Now, next is coming out from Jordan, says 14-team triple flex. Should we trade Diggs for Ridley and Swift? 14-team triple flex, yes. But only in that format. Art says Ayuk or Pittman, full PBR. Ooh. Pittman this week, maybe Ayuk long-term. Owen says double flex PBR 12-team league. We have Burrow, Love, Walker, Taylor, Brees, Roshan, Breida, Kupp, Puka, Ayuk, Waddle, Mike Williams, Kincaid, Hayden Hurst. Have we not already answered these? No? Double flex format. Really like the team. Really like the depth that we have. I would still stand by if we could sell Puka in like a small piece such as Roshan Johnson and go get to Chris Olave, go get to Devonta Smith, go get to Jalen Waddle. I would love it. Fine rostering 2 tight ends, fine rostering 2 quarterbacks with the team, and obviously a lot of long-term upside with guys like JT and Brees Hall. Now, Gerard coming out says thoughts on Mixon. I'm honestly conflicted after tonight, but I'm on the fence for trading for him. I mean, he's going out there. He's getting every single snap in this backfield. The one thing that I don't love about Joe Mixon is the fact that this is a running back that has really no involvement as a receiver, and obviously this offense doesn't look great right now. Now, the recess says, is trading A.J. Brown for ETN a lateral move? I would probably rather have A.J. Brown. You know I'm a massive ETN guy as well. Batman Gaming says, if I wanted to move Stevenson or Walker, who should we aim for? Also, we have Lawrence right now. Should we pick up Stroud and stream the matchups? You could pick up Stroud and roster 2 quarterbacks, still probably play Trevor Lawrence this next week. And then if you're going to be trading Stevenson, I would say the running back that you're going to be looking at in return, if we can get Gibbs, I would love it. And if you're trading Kenneth Walker, I'd probably have to shoot a little bit higher. If you can go like Kenneth Walker in a small piece and go get like Bijan Robinson, would really like that as well. Okay. So let me refresh this so we can continue to bring up these chats. And as I do this, let me remind you, please, if you have not done so already, ladies and gentlemen, Drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel. I have no idea. How long have we been live at this point? We've been live for about 3 hours. We've streamed for 150 days in a row. We're doing everything we can to 200,000 subscribers. So please go down there, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to get me breaking down your team way more in depth than I can do on these live streams, I can do that on flockfantasy.com for you. Plus, we're updating our rest of season fantasy football rankings over there late tonight, early tomorrow morning. And on top of that, you're going to get all my exclusive articles, live streams, Discord chats, and bonus content. You're going to get that for all your favorite fantasy football creators. And if you use promo code FLOCK, you're going to get 30% off any subscription. And with the Mother Flocker tier, yours truly will go through and break down your fantasy football team in an in-depth podcast. Something I can do way better than in this live stream where we have to go fast. But Afro Boy coming out says, would you move Jordan Addison and Moore for Kirk and Dell? I'd rather have Addison over Kirk. I'd rather have Moore over Dell. So probably not, to be honest. Solid Jenkins says, we also have Kyron Williams. Okay, thank God we saw that message because we accidentally missed this. Okay, so we have Lawrence Diggs, Puka, Higgins, Saquon Stevenson, Kittle. On the bench, we have Addison, Laporta, JSN, Pacheco, DJ Moore. We're 0-3. Yes, we need a win. So what we're looking to do here is we're looking to trade JSN. We're looking to get points in this lineup right now. Go send Puka. Go send JSN. Get a wide receiver that we're excited about right this second. I would say almost the same thing with Sam Laporta. I mean, and the same thing with Jordan Addison. Like these super long-term not super long-term, but these guys that are going to continue to get better as the season goes forward, we can't really value their ascension. We have to more so value them with how they're scoring right now. So I probably would look to make a 2-for-1 deal with those rookies to get an upgrade in the starting lineup now. Afro Boy says, no, we already answered that one. The Recess says, double flex PBR. She the best wide receiver in return yards leagues. We get CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Ridley, Shaheed, James Cook, Kenneth Walker. The bench is Pickens, Dell, Javonte. Should we trade AJ for ETN? Double flex, full PBR format. I would say no. I mean, if we were ever going to trade AJ Brown for Travis Etienne, it would be under the circumstance where it's a 10-team league, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex where wide receiver doesn't really matter. Now, Devon says 18 BBR format where we have Fields, Burrow, Bijan, Pollard, Gibbs, JT, Ford, Hunt, Jefferson, Ridley, Flowers, Collins, Judy, Kelsey. What would you trade for? Would you trade Ford for Anthony Richardson? I would much prefer trading Ford and Joe Burrow to get an elite level quarterback. Because the issue is if we trade Ford for Anthony Richardson, then all of a sudden we're rostering 3 QBs. Now, Kawaka coming out says, I'm 0-3 in my 12-team PBR 6-point passing touchdown league. Do we panic? Should we make a trade? We have Burrow, Olave, Watson. It seems like every 0-3 team has Burrow. Seems like Burrow is the common denominator. You either have Burrow, JT, or Cooper Kupp. Burrow, Olave, Watson, CMC, Gibbs, Hockenson, McLaurin, Elijah, Zay, Jerome Ford, Kelly, Roschon, JSN, Quentin Johnson. If you're 0-3, I think this is a spot where these rookie wide receivers that have a lot of long-term upside, we can't afford to roster them. You need to go through, you need to see what can we get for Jackson Smith and Jigba? What can we get for Quentin Johnston? Now, I don't necessarily think you're going to be able to trade these guys straight up for a lot, but more so it's going to be we're looking to package them, right? If we can go through and sell Jackson Smith and Jigba and Joe Burrow and get back Justin Herbert, get back a quarterback that's actually going to be putting points up for us right now, maybe we lose out on the long-term upside of that deal, but that's going to be fine. We're fine losing out on the long-term upside if we are going to get some additional points in the starting lineup right now, which for an 0-3 team, that's going to be the number one priority. Now, the Cargars are always happy to see you. My man says 2-1 PBR where we have Saquon, Jones, Spears, Charbonnet, Hunt. Receiver, we have Lamb, Devontae, London, Bourne, Dobbs, Davis. Tight end, we have Ingram. Should we trade for Jacobs? And if we are, for what? If you wanted to send Aaron Jones and Drake London to go get Josh Jacobs, I think that would probably be the deal, my man. I'd still rather have Saquon over him. I'd rather have Lamb over him. I mean, Devonta Smith, I'm not adding on to get Jacobs. So the deal, if you wanted Jacobs, would be London and Aaron Jones. Aiden says, thoughts on Olave for Waddle and Kareem Hunt. All love. Appreciate you, my man. And I think we have to go Olave at this point. I mean, Olave just looks so damn good with his volume. Now, Brandon says, lost Mike 2-1, 18 league, 5 wide receivers where we have Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra, Michael Thomas, Deontay, Thielen, Kirk, JSN, Hollywood, all available. What's the best 3 long-term after Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown? Best 3 long-term would be Michael Thomas, Garrett Wilson, and Depends on how you define long-term. If we're going long-term as in like 2 months from now, probably Jackson Smith-Njigba. Okay. But let's go through and let's see if we can pull up these questions on the other screen. I think we should be caught up enough to do it. Yes, we can. Our next question coming out from AR says, not sure if you answered my super chat. Should we trade Tyreek Hill for Aaron Jones, DK Metcalf? Please advise. We didn't answer this. I'm sorry if we breezed by it, my man. No, we do want to keep Tyreek Hill. I do think that Tyreek Hill is going to be in a class of his own here. Now, Boonian coming out says, Richardson, Gibbs, Ford, Tyreek, Puka, Kittle, Moore, Kupp, Fields, Najee, Thomas, Hunt, Warren, Kelly. 0-3, we had Dobbins, Deontay, Kelly, costed. Oh my gosh. Drop Kelly, pick up Devon, and honestly, 0-3 roster as well. I think this is about the point where you need to go through and you need to sell Cooper Kupp and make sure that we win this week. Go get someone like Olave. Get someone that's going to be putting points in our lineup. Now, KS coming out says, love the videos. Keep it up. Sadly, 0-3, one flex league. Lawrence, Kelsey, Waddle, Puka, Addison, Kirk, Palmer, Jacobs, Saquon, Montgomery, Kelly. Yeah, similar to what we're saying with these other teams here. The point is you got to take this long-term value. Let's send David Montgomery and Jordan Addison. Let's go get a stud wide receiver right now. I mean, Addison's trending in the right direction. David Montgomery does have long-term upside. But if we can go Montgomery and Jordan Addison and go get a wide receiver like Devonta Smith, who are just getting that upgrade for right this second, it's going to be something we look to do. I mean, in an 0-3 roster, we can still go through and we can compete, but we need to be getting points in right now. We're having another 0-3 in a 10-team format. We had Burrow. We traded for Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. So we have Mostert, Mixon, Ridley, CD. Oh my gosh, great team. I still think 0-3. It would be nice if we could go Kupp and Mostert and get an elite level running back like Kupp, Mostert, get Pollard. Let's do it. But yeah, getting Jalen Hurts here and A.J. Brown, that does look like it's going to save the team. Daniel coming out says 3-0 in a happy BR format where we have Herbert, Keenan, Olave, Amari, Nico, Kirk, Pollard, Etienne, Cook, Charbonnet, Roshan, Kelsey. So I looked to upgrade at wide receiver. For example, Cook and Olave for Diggs and White. Happy BR format, a little bit less inclined to do something like this. Still definitely interesting. Honestly, what I would look to do here, Keenan and Olave, I think, are going to crush regardless. If we could take like a depth wide receiver like Christian Kirk, who's been great with Zay Jones as of late, and try to extract some value out of him. If we could go like Christian Kirk and Justin Herbert, if this is a 4-point passing touchdown format, pivot to a quarterback that has an elite rushing ceiling and go get like Lamar Jackson where we don't have to be worried about Herbert not having Mike Williams here. I think that'd be a little bit more appealing than making a deal like the Stephon Diggs trade. Now, Juan says Mostert, Nico for Ridley, James Conner. Oh, definitely Ridley, James Conner, not close. Ridley, James Conner, not close. Corey's World says take Spears and Bourne for Edwards and Mingo. We have Derrick Henry. Bourne, Mingo, who the hell cares? Honestly, up to you. I mean, if you are just looking long-term upside, you probably go Spears. If you want someone to start this week, probably go Edwards. Now, Steve says 12-team full BBR format where we have Tua, Stevenson, Brees, Jefferson, DK, Higgins, Nico. And then on the bench, we have Fields, Watson, Herbert, Flowers, Love, Justice Hill, Jerry Jeudy. What should we look to do? I mean, I would love to upgrade from Brees Hall at running back. The question is, what does that deal look like? I mean, if we could send, say, Zay Flowers and Brees Hall, go get a running back that's in the Jahmyr Gibbs, Joe Mixon, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker bucket, that'd be a no-brainer for me. But in reality, I don't even know if we really want to. Actually, no, we have Watson, we have Jeudy on the bench. We want to do that. Yeah, we want to do that. And then I'll say, side note, make sure we're starting like someone like Zay Flowers over Nico Collins at the flex. Nico Collins not going to be the flex you want here. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Robert, it says 12-team league. We lost Dobbins. So running back, we have Pierce, Pacheco, Moss. We need to trade for running back depth. No, you do not need to trade for running back depth. You need to trade for top end running backs and push everybody down the ladder. Rest of the team is Allen, Jefferson, Olave, Tutu, Goddard. Any trade suggestions? Thanks. Appreciate you, my friend. I mean, if you wanted to do something, the deal is Tutu Atwell to go get a running back like Jerome Ford. If you can go and sell like Tutu Atwell and bring in someone like Jerome Ford, I think that'd make a lot of sense. Tutu Atwell and bring in someone like Khalil Herbert. Atwell's not really moving the needle for you with this team now, especially if you are going to be bringing in Cooper Kupp a few weeks from now, it's going to be really tough to see the volume. Now, Gerald says 12-team PBR where we have Allen, Mixon, Ramondre, Javonte, Moss, Hunt, Charbonnet. Wide receiver, we have Adams, Kupp, Pittman, Godwin, Gabe, Shaheed. Tight end, we have Komet, Ferguson. Who to package for Eckler and Pollard? If you wanted to go like Javonte and Pittman and get Eckler or Pollard, that'd be a no-brainer. And honestly, if you go Godwin and any running back on this roster, I would. I don't know if that should be our number one priority, though, over tight end, but it would be really nice. Now, Gabriel coming out says 10-team PBR 1 flex. We have Lamar, Sanders, Pacheco, Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ingram, Brandon Ayuk. And then on the bench, we have Gainwell, Justice Hill, Aaron Jones. What should I do? Getting Aaron Jones in over Isaiah Pacheco is going to be a great, great move here. I mean, if we could somehow take advantage of like someone worried about Andrews and like really just send, say Pacheco and Gainwell, Pacheco, Gainwell, Ingram to get Andrews stacked with Lamar. Let's do it. No brainer. In reality, probably not going to be able to. Yeah, I don't think there are a lot of moves that you want to make with this team. I mean, obviously, it's going to just help so much more getting Aaron Jones in. Seb says sold Mostert, Amari, Lawrence for Henry, Chase, Burrow. Unbelievable. Great deal. Isaiah says Breeson, Thielen for Lawrence. I get Lawrence. Super dependent on your team. I mean, honestly, it's just going to be straight up to your roster and your format. Now, Gabriel says, I'm 1-2 in an 8-team app PBR format where we have Burrow, St. Brown, Amon-Ra, Evans, Waddle, Lockett, Kupp, Godwin, CMC, Ramondre, Javonte, Connor, Rashad White, JT. Trades to get Tyreek Hill. If you're going for Tyreek Hill, 8-team league, you're going to have to pay up a considerable amount. You would be looking at like Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, literally, here's what we would do. Any wide receiver not named, any wide receiver at all, packaged with any running back not named Christian McCaffrey, we will go for Tyreek Hill in an 8-team PPR format. 8-team league, 2-for-1 deals. That's all we want to do here. Get the best player. David says 171 points today, and we still, oh my gosh, we still lost. We have 1-2. Mahomes, Mixon, Gibbs, Adams, Chase, Hockenson, Puka. The bench is Cousins, Javonte, Dotson, Kirk, Laporta. What do we do? If we have Hockenson and Laporta, let's take Laporta, let's package him with Puka, and let's go get a stud wide receiver in the long term. I mean, all week we've been saying to go through and sell, Puka and go get a wide receiver like A.J. Brown. Now, after tonight, that's not going to be able to be an easy move for you. I think that you can do it, but that's if we were to go through and send Laporta in the deal as well. Knowing that, Laporta's crushed, and we don't need him when we have Hockenson. Vanessa says, do we drop Dalvin to go to the waiver wire? Honestly, I wouldn't mind it because the thing is, if Breece Hall goes down, can you start Dalvin Cook? Probably not. Probably splitting with Michael Carter Jr. Yeah, so I wouldn't mind if you want to go get Bigsby. Joe says, Yo Mason, 3-0 in a happy BR 12-team format. We have Hurts, Eckler, Swift, Hall, Spears, Kupp, Puka, DJ Moore, Terry, Michael Thomas, Laporta. Any moves or set tight? 3-0, we are just pretty much looking long-term here. So if you could sell Swift for like Jonathan Taylor for that long-term play, I think that'd be a phenomenal move. Even if we were to lose this next week with, say, Kupp and JT on this team, then we get them back and we're 3-1 and then just have more upside than anybody else. Nigo says start Lawrence or Love this week. I'm going to go Lawrence still. Vincent says 0-3 at BBR, 12-team league, double flex. We have Burrow, Ridley, Ayuk, Laporta, Tank Dell, Michael Thomas. Running back, we have CMC, Walker, JT. Should I be okay with Burrow getting a different quarterback? I just sent Bijan and Christian Kirk Madison for CMC. Yes, I think you won with Christian McCaffrey there. Double flex league, a little bit tougher, but I think that you have no other option but to be okay with Burrow. The thing is, what's the move? Like, it's a double flex league. We need these wide receiver depth pieces. I don't think we have enough depth, especially with Jonathan Taylor. I mean, maybe if JT comes back, then we can think about making a play to get an upgraded quarterback. If you want to go on the waiver wire and get someone like Jordan Love, I wouldn't fault you there. Now, Avro Boy says 10-team PBR format. We have Richardson, James Cook, Gibbs, Puka, Ridley, Kelsey, Moore, Addison. And then on the bench, we have Fields, Montgomery, JT, Mike Williams, Reynolds, Johnson. What moves can we make? I feel like my wide receivers need help. I'm going to reiterate, still look to sell Puka if we can. If we can sell Puka and maybe like David Montgomery to 10-team full PBR format and go out there and bring in someone like the usual suspects we've been recommending, Olave, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, just anybody in that range. I'd love that in a 10-team PBR format. I don't think you can do it straight up for Puka anymore, but if we can include David Montgomery, then maybe we still can. Now, Jason coming out says 12-team Superflex, 3 wide receiver at PBR, where we have Hurts, Purdy, Stroud, Etienne, Moss, Montgomery, Kamara, Devon Achane, wide receivers St. Brown, Lamb, Metcalf, Evans, Frymuth, 3-0 at the moment. What should we do? Phenomenal spot in a Superflex league, my man. You love this team. We have Moss for the short term. We have Montgomery for the long term. We have Kamara stepping in now already on a 3-0 roster. We have the elite level wide receivers at the top. Phenomenal team. The only thing I'd say is if you have faith in Kamara coming back in this week, if you wanted to send Moss and Frymuth and go get an upgrade at tight end, wouldn't fault you for that. But Jonathan coming out says 10-team PBR 3-0. We have Allen, Cook, Swift, Diggs, Evans, Andrews, Myers. On the bench, we have Terry, Saquon, Roschon, Dell, Hunter Henry, Kareem Hunt, Shaheed. Any moves? Really excited to get Saquon Barkley back in. No moves in terms of trades. I would probably cut Hunter Henry, or obviously try to trade Hunter Henry if we can to get an upgrade anywhere. Just when we have Andrews, we're going to start him every week. We can go with Hunter Henry, Andrew Cook, Myers to get a slight upgrade at that flag spot for the short term. I'd really like that. Pick up another running back off the waiver wire, but great team. Steve says Swift for Puka in Dynasty. You know, I've been screaming to sell Puka for a while, but I would probably rather Puka in Dynasty. Jason says 10-team double flex, 2-1. We have Tua, Watson, AJ Brown, Cup, DJ Moore, Watson, Nico, Hollywood, JT or Madre, Zach Moss, Jacobs. Tight end, we have Hawkinson. Any overall advice? Double flex league, wide receiver depth is going to matter a little bit more. It'll be very useful when you get Cup and Watson back in. Surprised that we're 2-1 considering the fact that we don't have those guys. I would at least explore the honestly, no. We're not doing anything. We're 2-1, and we had Cup and Jonathan Taylor on this team. We're 2-1, and when we get these guys back, it doesn't even matter if we're 2-2 at this point. That is pretty much best case scenario for a team that drafted Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor. Not only did we survive, but we're sitting with a winning record right now. Once we get these guys back in, we are going to be so damn happy. Okay. Now our next search coming out from Larry says, full BBR 20-team rosters, 3-0, trying to upgrade from tight end from Tyler Higbee. We have Hurts, Richardson, Jefferson, Olave, Puka, DJ Moore, Elijah Moore, Marvin Mims, Kenneth Walker, James Cook, Brian Robinson, and Zach Moss. I mean, if you're looking at this, Anthony Richardson will be expendable. 20-team rosters, I understand that we need to be rostering a quarterback. There's not a quarterback on the waiver wire in that case. I would say Zach Moss is probably the guy that we're looking to move on from in that situation where we have Walker, James Cook, Brian Robinson. We can start for the short and long term. Zach Moss only really giving you that short-term production where it's hard to go through and say that Zach Moss is super exciting when you get Jonathan Taylor back in. So if you wanted to go like Zach Moss and Tyler Higbee to go get to George Kittle for the long term, not going to fault you at all there. Now, Alex Fox says 12-team at BBR where we have Hurts, Eckler, Sanders, Mostert, Spears, Olave, Ayuk, Gabe Davis, Dell, Dobbs, Tony Waller. Lost Dobbins, still 3-0. Should we make a move? 3-0 with losing Dobbins and not having Eckler as well. Nope, phenomenal team. The only thing is, if you really wanted to, you could look to sell Mostert and like Ayuk to get a true like round one wide receiver. But no, great team, great roster construction. Way to overcome both the Eckler and Dobbins injuries. I think we probably get Eckler back this week. LZ says Bijan, Gibbs, Etienne, JT. Who's the odd man out? I go Bijan, Etienne, JT, Gibbs are super close. Probably JT a spot ahead of Gibbs, though. Jet says 10-team BBR, 2-1. We have Jalen Hurts, Kenneth Walker, James Cook, Miles Sanders, Breece Hall, Devontae Adams, Puka, Kupp, Judy, Andrews. Do I try to sell Puka? Yes, I would. Only thing that worries me is Kupp getting hurt again. I mean, that's obviously a possibility here, my man, but it's a possibility that any of these guys get hurt. I mean, if we could go through and sell Puka and a smaller piece and get to those guys that we've been mentioning for a while now, get to A.J. Brown, get to Devonta Smith, get to Jalen Waddle, get to Chris Olave, get to Amon-Ra St. Brown, especially in a 10-team format. Would love to do that. Great team, though. That's a freaking nutso team. Now, Zeke says, I'm building an algorithm using a system of equation solver for understanding trade value. Do you have trade data you could share for the project? No, I do not, my friend. And we are going to be taking on a big project like that for flockfantasy.com as well. So, yes, I'm about to go through and undertake that with some devs, but As of now, we do not have anything for you. I'm sorry. Quan says, who can I package Andrews and Raheem for? We need a receiver in a full BBR format, willing to sell one or either or bundle them. If you need a receiver and you're selling Andrews and Raheem Mostert, you need an elite level wide receiver. You need Chase, you need Tyreek, you need Diggs, you need Jefferson, you need A.J. Brown, you need CeeDee Lamb, you need Amon-Ra St. Brown. Obviously, those guys at the very top, you probably have no shot at. But those are going to be the guys we're looking at. We're not trading Mark Andrews and Raheem Mostert for T. Higgins. Now, Lucas says, 10-team BBR, 1 flex. We have Richardson, Fields, Pollard, White, Sanders, Tyreek, Olave, Ayuk, Pickens, Henry, Frymuth. 1 and 2, kind of panicking. Should we make a move? I would say specifically in a league that's a 10-team format with only 1 flex, you probably are in a spot where you want to go through and you actually want to prioritize a tight end upgrade. So yeah, I would probably see if we can sell like Brandon Ayuk and Hunter Henry and go out there and get a tight end that you're excited about. Now, Troy's the boss coming out and says, love the live streams, man. Keep it up. Thank you so much, my man. Saying, I'm in a 12-team non-PBR Superflex, 3-0, won by half a point this week. Hell yes. Fields, Pollard, ETN. Fields, Pollard, ETN, Jefferson, St. Brown, Amari, Addison, Ferguson, Goff. On the bench, we have Montgomery, JSN, Devon A. Chain, Joshua Palmer. What are your thoughts? Great team. It is incredible that we are 3-0 on a super flex build with Justin Fields. Really, really surprised to see this, my man. I don't necessarily think we trade Justin Fields for someone. I would like a QB3 here, just in case like Fields continues to not be startable going forward. So if you could go through and trade like David Montgomery for a quarterback 3, even if it's not someone that's great, even if it's just like Desmond Ridder, I wouldn't mind that. Obviously, we're going to go and see if we can find someone that we like a little bit more. We'll see if we can go get CJ Stroud, see if we can go get Jordan Love, go get one of these guys that actually look good. But still, nonetheless, phenomenal spot. Super happy to see that, my friend. Thank you so much. And I think that should be it for this live stream. Thank you so much for everybody hanging out with us. If you have not done so already, please go down there. Drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We're going to be live streaming every single day until 2024. I've not missed a single day of live streaming since April. And also, if you want to get your team broken down in depth in a podcast that I can do a much better job than these overall live streams, you can find that over on flockfantasy.com. There you're also going to have my rest of season fantasy football rankings, all my premium content. And on top of that, you are going to be getting yours truly breaking down your team with the podcast. Promo code Flock plus 30% off any subscription podcast for that mother Flocker subscription. But one last thing, Jets has been following you since last year. Always follow your advice and won my league. Appreciate the hard work and advice you're doing on here. Helps to hear your input. Have a good night. Thank you so much, my man, for being a member of the flock. Really, really do appreciate you. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate y'all and really hope I get to see you out in the live stream later tomorrow.